What if I come home and no one's through my front door? What if I come home and there's a mess everywhere? What if I come home and tears flood the floor?
No one understands the struggle and stress I shoulder. No one understands I have the trials of someone much older.
No one understands why my homework's late, why my mascara's smudged, or why I'm not perfect.
No one understands why I can't have guests, why I miss school, or why I look like I need a rest.
No one likes the kid who's always behind. Nobody gets the effort needed to keep up. They mock and scorn with ignorance in their minds.
Everyone looks down on me. They think I'm quite odd. But in fairness, me crying is all they see.
But everyone really should look up to me, having responsibilities bigger than imagined, not knowing my cared one is my priority.
Patience. If you give me the chance to say, patience is all I crave, and you'll come to understand that my pain is every day.
It's not my fault that I am left out of the group and that I always worry. No one knows the struggle and stress that we all carry.
The Swindon Carers Centre, we're here to support young carers to carry the weight of their caring role.
Someone is there for us to speak to. Someone understands what we all go through. To everyone at Swindon Carers, thank you.
Everybody has places to go, but not everyone has a way to get there. What if there were an easy way to get everybody where they need to be? What if there were one resource for all of the transportation needs in our community? What if we could move up to a better way to get people where they need to be? Welcome to a better way of getting around. With Move Up, all of your transportation options are in the palm of your hand with a mobile app that allows you to get where you want to go. Okay, there are lots of options for getting a ride, but this ride service is special because it offers answers to the collective needs of our community. Who needs a ride? Going to the airport or train station? Done. Need a lift to get some groceries, go to the bank or post office? Done. Need non-emergency medical transport to your doctor's appointment? Done. Need a ride for your child? Done. What if you want to take your dog or your bike with you? Done. You get the idea. But how does it work? There are basically 3 types of riders: regular folks with no special needs, children and adults who need assistance, people who need to get somewhere but can't afford transportation. The people with no special needs can use Move Up just like they would a cab or a service like Uber or Lyft. Why choose Move Up? Because participation in the program helps support the overall community by keeping the drivers busy so the network can grow. Children and adults who need assistance can choose among the drivers who have been carefully screened to be able to handle non-emergency medical transport, assist with the elderly and handicapped, and to transport children with their parents' permission. People who need to get somewhere but can't afford transportation can enroll in one of the community programs that will pay for their ride. The driver gets paid just like with any other passenger. We can all move up to the next generation of ride-hailing and transportation if we all get involved. To learn how you can become a part of the solution, join MoveUpLynchburg.org today.
MoveUp is a local delivery management app that is completely free for you to use. It lets you choose your drivers, whether your own employees or others in the community. It lets you and your drivers decide on rates that are best for your customers, and those customers don't even have to download the app. MoveUp is easy to use. When a customer places their order and requests delivery, you enter the delivery information into your online system, and the system alerts drivers of their delivery order. You can track the complete status at a glance, and so can the customer. MoveUp's processing system is designed to protect you from liability and to minimize transaction fees. All of the money stays local. You keep all of the money from your sale, and the driver keeps all of the money from the delivery. It's easy to set up. In fact, you can be delivering the next day. MoveUp is the no commission connection to your customers. Find out more on our website.
I'm bailing out of here until later.
I'm here.
All right, ladies and gents, we're back. We had our commercial break due to technical issues being encountered by our second broadcast team, or the next broadcast team. I shouldn't say second, although I'm number one. No, just kidding. This is Colin Tabor still with you as we await the arrival of Charles Michel and Vitor Bras, our next broadcast team. Apparently the sim has been giving some trouble today, including disconnecting an entire team, the SACR team, which had to retire. So that's really alarming. Obviously, you will let us know if anything like that is happening to you. Let us know, give us some examples. We may want evidence to help to share with iRacing to prove up the issue. But right now, looking at the standings, things are still running as they were for the most part at the front end of the field. We'll look at Fuga Sim Sport with their first place right now, just completely demolishing the rest of the field, 14 laps up. That's a dominant performance by those guys, and if they do cruise to the win, they'll deserve it 100%. However, there's still about 3 hours of racing to go. We've got approximately 3 hours and maybe 10 minutes on the clock, roughly, till the end of this event. Second place in LMP2 now is MJR Racing. After both they and Next Level have encountered some difficulties, as well as we saw the retirement of Garage 69 after exorbitant damage. So MJR running 14 laps down right now. Tobias Matsky in the car running lap 328, just starting lap 328 as he heads down to turn 1, the Haughoek. And running lap 327 is Stefan van der Velde at the moment in the Next Level machine. He is on the downhill, so probably most of a lap behind the MJR guys at this point. And that's LMP1. LMP2, we've seen Leo Racing and Venom Works kind of shuffling back and forth between the lead. But right now, it looks like Leo Racing Team has established their position well and truly with basically a 2-lap difference between them and the second place in class Venom Works Endurance. Right, so Daniele Pizzo of Leo Racing currently running lap 310, and on lap 308 is Venom Works Endurance. So at least a lap behind as they're finishing up their lap 308. We see Leo Racing on lap 310 going up the hill into the Schumacher S's. So I would say almost 2 laps in advance of the Venom Works team. Running in third is FFW Kuzlenko, having a nice recovery after some issues earlier in the race. They are running lap 308 as well. So they're not that far behind Venom Works. Bro Sim Racing running in fourth, Reaper Racing fifth, and just exiting the pits, as a matter of fact. The Banzu Flow team running in 6th in class after also experiencing some issues. I mean, who hasn't at this point? Once you get past the first couple cars, everybody's had something. Ronin Simsport in 7th. Shawshank Racing still circulating despite potential race-ending damage. Didn't turn out to be that way, and we're happy to see that. Happy to see everyone continuing on. I mean, this is the kind of guys we have in this league. Guys want to finish their race. And speaking of which, Legends Racing currently shown in 12th in class. 9th in class, 12th overall. My bad. 10 laps down, but you know, soldiering on. Also, these guys hit some dastardly luck. So kudos to them. Class act. And our heart goes out to everyone who's had difficult time pushing through stuff tonight. Moving on to the GTE class, Ronin Simsport now looking 2 laps ahead of the nearest competition, maybe really 1 lap and a bit, but they are currently shown on lap 293. We got Conan Wern in the car. Conan Wern, which I think is a new name for me to call. We had Philip and Gabriel, or Gabe as I like to call him, until lap 267 when Conan stepped in. And he's just finishing up lap 293. While we have Next Level Racing, who's in 2nd overall, just running down into the Dunlop corner, the like to call the hairpin, although it's not very it's not such an acute angle. Moving on through the field there, those guys being 1 lap down. Then we have Core Motorsports another lap down, and they are running lap 291, as is Team Slow Pace, who is really just 6 seconds behind them. That might be the closest battle on the racetrack right now. Team Slow Pace just 6.9 seconds behind Core Motorsports. And last lap was a little faster, so that could develop into something. Porsche Sport also running lap 291. Currently not that far behind them. I guess 24 seconds. It's a little further for sure. Josh Cam in the car though now, and he's quite quick. So we'll see what they can do there. Garage 69 also running lap 291. So I'm hearing from Race Control, Core Motorsports is going to get a black flag as part of the donut extravaganza that we saw a little bit earlier, and so that will undoubtedly affect the race standings here with them at the head of this pack of cars that's 2 laps down. I'm afraid they will likely drop to the back of that group, and we'll see how much further. But continuing on through the field, we've got Juncos Racing in 7th right now, 3 laps down, working lap 291 themselves now. Everyone else has progressed to lap 292 in the time we've been speaking. Next Level GTE number 2 is running in 8th overall with Eric Verlet at the wheel at the moment. So far, I believe he's just had Simon and Eric in that car tonight. N-Race Esports also still circulating in the sole Ford in the field. They are running 9th overall, 6 laps down, soldiering on. They're one of the faster teams, honestly, in this class, having started a bit higher than they're running now, for sure. Sad to see that. obviously a tough day, but doing the commitment, feeling the race with with heart. And DMC by HPSR. Sorry guys, it's been a lot of talking. They are running 10th, but also still circulating a number of laps down. So that's all the cars on the track at the moment, and we'll continue here to follow the on-track action as we enter the last 3 hours of the race.
So I am back. I'm online now.
Great.
Hi Colin and the stream. My name is Vitor Bras. I'm joining Colin for the broadcast.
Very glad to have you. Another voice for our listeners to enjoy besides mine.
You do have a good voice, don't worry.
Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It's just a point of monotony after what's been, probably 7 or 8 hours at this point. But what's your thoughts on the race so far? Are you aware, or you've probably been, I think, busy with a few other things during the day? So.
Yeah, I haven't been keeping up with the race too much, but as expected, the field is looking kind of similar to what happened in like the teams that are ahead in their groups are still ahead of their groups. Like the Spa race was my first race part of this organization and the broadcasting team and all of that. And all the teams, they're not probably in second place. They are in 5th place or on their top 5s. The teams that were in their 15th place, they are fighting for their top 10s now. So it's very close to what we saw in Spa from like just from superficial. But I was seeing like there were 26 cars at the start. We have 22 racing cars. That's very good. Only 4 cars, and considering SCCR were disconnected due to server issues. Otherwise, it would be 3 teams, and so out of 26, 4 teams are out of the race. That's still a very good result in an endurance of 12 hours. That's one thing.
That's a good point, Vitor. And I'll even add that the VenomWorks prototype team never really hit the grid. I believe that was registered potentially in error. There was some issue. I didn't actually ever catch exactly what was the situation there, but we know they didn't. I don't think they qualified, and I don't think they turned a lap in the session. So really only 2 retirements. Oh, I misspoke. Looks like there are some laps registered in the race, but I'm really not sure if they were ever really in the car. It's not really important. But,
yeah, they did qualify in 2nd in their class, I think. VenomWorks. Yeah,
well,
there's
2 VenomWorks. There's a VenomWorks. There's 2 VenomWorks teams in LMP2. I just want to point that out.
Oh yeah, exactly. I was just noticing that as well. I don't think were there 2 teams at Spa. I don't know.
I don't know, but it does look like we do have a practice and qualifying time for the 14 car, the VenomWorks prototype. So they did start with the intention of making the race, but perhaps discovered some issue with personnel at the last minute. I can only speculate. No.
Understandable. So in team events, if you have just one driver, it's very tough, especially because the simulation won't allow you to just race the whole race alone without getting disqualified at the end. So
That's right. This is a team event as stipulated by our rules and by the settings that we've input for the session in iRacing. Unfortunately, we had the situation with Fluky Fast Racing, who did complete 8 hours of the event, and we salute them and bow to them appreciatively with their and recognize that effort. Unfortunately, probably not going to be classified or be able to achieve points in the event. But gosh, definitely
I mean,
unfortunate.
still running. Yeah, absolutely. But still running 8 hours or 7 hours by yourself is it's a very difficult task. I can only talk by of myself, where at Bathurst it's a completely different track, but still it can be if you have it trained, if you practiced, you can still do a long, lengthy stints. And I just remember doing 2 hour, 3 hour stint, and I just couldn't go any longer than that.
Yeah, it's completely
really
exhausting. Myself as well. I think my legs start to cramp at a certain point, get sore. It really takes a certain kind of conditioning to do that, right?
Absolutely.
So tuned in right now, watching Ronan Simsport lead the GTE class as they circulate on the track, the 79 car.
Out of curiosity, so how have the temperatures evolved over the so right now we should be at the coldest, right? The coldest temperatures.
That's right. That's right. Based
late.
on the that's right. Based on the stats that I'm seeing, we're still at about the same temperatures we've been for the last few hours since sort of dusk came, with an air temperature of 18 centigrade and track temperature of 19 centigrade. I guess the track is still holding a little bit of the heat from the day. It's definitely a lot warmer earlier in the day, and most of the fast laps have been set later in the run, or around lap 6, hours 6 to 8 of the session. But it hasn't gotten any colder than that, so I guess that's down to May weather in the Nordschleife, or on this day.
Yeah, it
time.
could be that. It could be that.
May 2nd, 2021. So it's in the future. So we really don't have a historical record to go by. But there you have it.
I was just curious because out of the Fuga Sim Sport, their fastest lap, at least what shows on my client, is a 1:30.9, and basically what they're doing right now is close to 3 to 4 seconds slower than that, and of course they don't need to really push it 14 laps ahead. So I guess that's one of the reasons, but
yeah, you're right. You're right, Vitor. I mean,
shows
that too.
the amount of pace they have.
Yeah, they have an amazing amount of pace. I think they've cooled it back a bit, just partly because of the darkness, and just wanting to make sure that they get through the session safely. But, yeah. And I think we're now joined by Charles Bushell.
Hey guys. So technical issues sorted, I think. So I hope anyway. So yeah, it turns out that there was a problem with the X Audio driver, which was causing my issue, kicking me out and preventing me to get back in. So I think I've got that sorted out, and I'm back over on the direct sound, which is virtually the same. So anyway, what have I missed over the last 15 minutes? Because I have been watching from offline.
Yeah, I mean, not much. We've just been kind of talking through the race, Vitor, kind of getting up to speed with what's taken place over the last 9 hours and change. Right now, watching on the stream live, we see the leading GTE just entering the pits for their stop here on lap 300. They're beginning lap 300 for GTEs, and they are a full lap plus ahead of their competition.
So have we jinxed the Fuga Sim Sport team yet with the broadcaster's curse?
Oh, I haven't brought up that piece of information that you relayed. I saved it for you.
Oh, well,
if anything's going to happen, I want it to be on your head.
Well, since they're since you said that they were just pitting, so they're actually not on the track. Okay. So anyway, we are 9 hours and a half into this race. Fuga is, we've talked about how dominant they are. They have run this race on a 0x incident count for the entire race, 9.5 hours, which I think is, it's beyond incredible the amount of skill it takes to do that. I couldn't do that for 9 minutes, much less 9 hours. So that's just an amazing job by the Fuga team.
Indeed. It absolutely is. And it looks like with the teams running at this point, we have Porsche Sport as the next lowest points total. And that they're the best for GTE side. And then on the LMP2 side, actually FFW Kislenko Racing is sitting on 30 with Venomworks Endurance on 32. So those guys are doing real well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's even a 30 incident count is pretty good after.
The ton of our teams are in the 30s. So so well done to everybody on that. I think that's a great feature, giving a little extra pointage to those teams. And with that, I'm going to leave it to you guys for a little while at least and take a break. I'll be back towards the end of the race to help bring it home.
Thanks for extending your stint, Colin, so we can get all the technical, or at least these technical snafus worked out. And we'll try and continue on with the race, and we'll see you back toward the end.
Okay. Take care, everybody.
All right. Thank you, Colin Tabor. We appreciate that. Hey, there's Mr. Thomas Cope behind the scenes, working the cameras for us again. Vitor, good to talk to you, as always. So we will, I think he has just went through through the field and keeping up with, we do have a slow car on the track, it appears. Is that Leo Racing? Were they slow? Yeah, it looks that way. Over the end of the pits? Okay, well, that would be why they were slow. Thank you for that. I just couldn't tell from the angle of the camera.
Yeah, especially at night, you can't really.
Yeah, that one didn't lend itself to giving me any real visual identification of what that actually was. So Fuga Sim Sport in the overall lead. Once again, we talked about just dominant performance. Leo Racing leading the LMP2 class. Looks like they have a pretty sizable gap over P2 in their class, which is Venomworks Endurance, and then FFW Kislenko in P3. In the GTE field, Ronin Sim Sport still out in front. Next level GTE 1 in second, Team Slow Pace in third. Team Slow Pace with their Corvette trying to get up on the podium to keep this from being a Porsche sweep. But I do see Porsche Sport in fourth place, so that is not out of the woods just yet.
The gap is not too much. They are just 20 seconds.
Right. Yeah, that looks about right. So yeah, just I'm trying to work against two screens here to get good gaps, good timings, and everything. So it looks like the gap between P1 and P2 in the LMP2 class is a little under a full lap. I don't know if there's, since I'm just back in here, I'm not sure if Benjamin Johnson in the Venom Works Endurance team is taking an extra, has done one more pit stop than the other team. I know that Leo, I think, was on a different pit cycle, if I remember correctly. So it could be just a difference of pit strategy at this point.
Yeah, I was trying to understand that. I mean, I still don't have all of the pit timings and everything, but it seems that both the leaders on LMP2 and GTEs are one lap ahead, and then they have, sorry, correction. So in the LMP2, the leader, Leo Racing, is one lap ahead, but Next Level Racing, I still don't have the pit timing for them, and I don't know if they still have to pit, but they are 90 seconds behind Ronin.
Right.
Only 90. I mean, a lot can happen. Just a tiny slip from Ronin can easily make that gap non-existent.
That's absolutely true.
It's unpredictable. How much these races are unpredictable is part of their charm, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. As we've seen this, I think, in every race that we've had so far this season, that within the last couple hours or 3 hours of the race, we've had something strange occur that that threw a class lead in doubt. So I'm not saying it's going to happen this time. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me if it did, and I would, you know. And then we'll just have to go from there and talk about it. But it looks like as of now, everything's pretty well settled in. I know it's nighttime, so it looks like that the cars, for the most part, seem to be the drivers seem to be dealing with that well. I know that a little bit changes when you're talking about night driving versus day driving. I know for me, it almost feels like the depth perception changes a little bit. Like you have a little more trouble finding an apex or a breaking point at night than you do in the daytime.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what is it? So I know you've had experience with night driving, so you can maybe elaborate a little more on what it is for you.
For me, so I've done 2 endurance races this year so far. Especially if it was Daytona and Bathurst. Bathurst, I also did the night stint, so I'm experienced at night driving both of those. The difference, for example, I'd say it's not so bad because I mean the worst part is like coming into the chase and you have that left and you can't really see where the outside curve is. That's probably the most difficult part of that the whole track at night, for me at least. At Daytona is a bit. It's of course you have lights. It's different than Bathurst, but at Daytona you have some sort of big curves that sometimes, especially on the outfield, on the coming into the bus stop most precisely. It's really just 1 or 2 corners, but it make it harder on you. But since you don't have like directional headlights like you have in a road car these days, it makes it harder to be able to pinpoint the precise apex points, because the curves they might not be the tallest, but they are still they still make shadow, and you can really see where's the apex exactly.
Right. I think for this track, I think Colin and I actually drove this track the 6 hours last season together, And I think the hardest part, I did drive some of the night stint, and some of the hardest part was, believe it or not, was the chicane. It was just finding those those apexes on both sides of the chicane, just trying to make sure, because it became much more much more easy to get off tracks there, because you don't get a lot of room for leeway. You don't get a lot of leeway by cutting that chicane too deep. And I had a couple of scary incidents through the chicane, which you wouldn't think was that big a problem, but it definitely becomes so at night. Trying to think if there was any other places in here. It seemed like maybe the Schumacher S was kind of the same way. Was just making sure
I was
that
gonna ask you about that.
just kind of making sure. And I know we saw an incident earlier with one of the LMP2 cars overtaking on the well, I guess would be the outside of the second part of the Schumacher S, or maybe thinking that the GT car was going to go a little more shallow through it. And I had something very similar, except mine was on the entry to the Schumacher S, as I just took the wrong side, and just almost killed our race. So yeah, so the Schumacher S is another one of those that's that you have to be. It's precise during the daytime. It's even more so at night. You have to have definitely have that level of precision, and sometimes it's just better just slow down a little bit, right? Just take the entry a little easier, so you're not right on the edge of grip, and just work your way through it.
Yeah. Nighttime is it's different. It's a whole different atmosphere. It's colder, so the cars are faster usually. Oh, by the way, was it the same format? The race, the 6 hours you guys raced, or was it the same format?
Yep, same layout. Yeah, same. Yep, same layout.
I think that chicane makes it a bit harder than the Grand Prix setting.
Yeah, probably so, because you're carrying a lot more speed through it. So, or
it has a lot more height variation. Like,
yeah, I see what you're saying. Absolutely. So just kind of keeping an eye out during the race. We've got about 2 hours and 22 minutes left. Not seeing any change in the leaders. Looks like everything's staying pretty static, with Fugasim Sport out front, just once again making their statement that that they're absolutely the top dog in the league.
I mean, it takes a different kind. They are still on 0x, and it's not just VE.C sport. In my opinion, it's not just a one-man team or a two-man team. It's like the whole team. They are very fast. All of those guys are very fast and very consistent, as we can see.
Yes.
0x across a whole team. It's hard to do it with one person or two people or two.
Yeah,
But
and yeah, exactly.
they have registered for. Oh, they have two people only for this race, so it's a bit easier. But still, we saw that on the spot 24, they had like 4 people, I think, four
Yes,
drivers.
I think that's right.
And they still came out with a very low incident point on a track that is actually hard not to get incident points on. I mean, it's not hard, but it's easy to let yourself go and get one or two. You know.
Yep, that's true. Yeah, it's there's a couple spots at Spa that it's just if you're relaxed a little too much, you'll go wide. That won't hurt you by potentially wrecking the car. So you can take it wide. You can take it wide to make a pass or to avoid an incident. So yeah, I completely understand. And yeah, a 0x over this amount of time is pretty amazing. So I was trying to check and see. It looks like we've got a battle shaping up in the LMP2 class. Between like Reaper Racing, who is running in P5 in class, that's Tobias Bleach. Banzu RX with Daniel Hernandez Galan, and then Vincenzo Amico in the Ronin Sim Sport Academy car. Those are 3 cars within 20 seconds of each other on the same lap. So that is battles for P5 through 7 in class. And looking at also, Jonas Weisse in the team slow pace car in P3 with a less than 1 second lead over Porsche Sport. So that battle is really heated up as we see it on the screen now. Josh Cam behind the wheel of the Porsche Sport car and is absolutely on the hunt, trying to make up that and take that spot to get the final podium position. Like as we said earlier, that is that would be a Porsche sweep in the podiums if he can get past and make it stick. As we know though, 2 hours and 15 minutes left. That's a tall order. Still plenty of racing left to do, but it's an interesting battle to watch for the time being. As they get past a slower car, couldn't quite see who that was with the nighttime. It definitely was a GT. Looks like that was the Corvette of DMC. Correct. Thank you, Vitor.
A very high likeness to the Porsche, and we can probably understand why. I mean, it's not always that the most popular car is one of the strongest, but in this case, at least what's said around the community is said that the Porsche is really a strong car.
Right.
And we can see it's been performing very well across all the tracks.
Yeah, I think I might have said the opposite. I might have said I think that the reason that the car is the most popular is because it is the strongest. And definitely looks like Porsche has pretty powerful drive, especially definitely here. But as I was talking about earlier, just being in the Porsche over the last couple of weeks, trying to get adjusted to it, it's really well balanced. It's a really well balanced car. And it makes it very, very easy to drive and makes it very fun to drive. I did one of the ESS races during the week at that French track, and that French track, who shall not be named, I had a ball. It felt like I was faster than I normally would be driving with maybe the Ferrari or the Corvette, and the car just behaved really well. Like I said, I had to adjust a few braking points, just because I don't think the brakes are as good or maybe as strong as some of the other GT cars. But man, it was really fun to drive. Like I said, it was really fun and just very enjoyable. Didn't feel like I was really working that hard to get where I was trying to get to.
You got adjust your load cells already?
I am adjusted to my load cells. Those the TLCMs by Thrustmaster will take some sponsorship if they want to throw some money. That's always the thing is you get into a new car, you have to say, okay, how far can I push this before I'm into that bottom spring on that load cell? But yeah, this is they're a dramatic improvement over the potentiometers. So I'm glad it was a well-made purchase in my opinion to get those, and would recommend them to anybody.
So right now, even on the draft, I think last lap we had a bit of an interruption by lapping traffic. By these two GTEs being lapped, and they ended up like being 1/10 away from each other. But it does seem that Porsche Sport is not really catching up.
Yeah, it looks like the gap's about 8/10 of a second. He grabbed 1/10 just going through the chicane. So that's something to keep watching. I think it might have been Jonas he was chasing down one of the other Corvettes, I believe, earlier in the race. Who was it? Let's see if I remember correctly. It was,
Oh, they're definitely getting closer. It's down to half a second now.
right. Oh, he might have been battling Juncos and was actually gaining on him, and that was the only place that he. Oh no, it wasn't Juncos. It was another one of the Corvettes. Maybe Garage 69. Yeah, Garage 69 +1, and he was able to close the gap down to about 1/10 of a second until he got to the chicane, and seemed like he's maybe a little uncomfortable going through there. So he would end up losing back to about a half second back, and then would have to work the entire lap to get back all the ground he had made up on the lap before he finally made the pass. So it was good to see.
Yeah, it could mean a lot of things. They could be carrying a bit of damage, or their setup is more towards downforce and not so much straight line speed.
Very possible.
Because it did seem that on the first few turns, on those S's where it's very long sweeping corners. I think that's the right term.
Yep.
you have he was catching up. He was closing that gap. I don't know if it was due to a mistake by the number 7 or just the outright skill of Josh in the 90 lap.
Right. And as we were just talking about it, the Corvette has a tendency to be tail happy under braking, so maybe that's just the balance of the car is not really good for that chicane. Like maybe it wants to oversteer a little bit, so it has to go a little bit slower through there, maybe slower than what the Porsche could do. And so maybe that's got something to do with it. But he is, I'm watching this. He's about 3/4 of a second to 8/10 ahead, and seems like he's able to pull a couple of tenths of a lead, and then it seems like he's losing that back in that chicane area again. So, but Porsche Sport is still back there, and they're still trying to close it down. The gap's now down to about a half second, so he made up some good time through the hairpin and the Schumacher S. Let's see what the gap drops down to here as they're going through the chicane again.
Down to 3 tenths, 2 tenths. Oh, and
yep, look at that. Oh, and he's pitting. So maybe that may be a well-timed pit, knowing that he was being stalked by the Porsche Sport team. So that does put Porsche Sport up into 3rd place in the GTE class. So right now we're sitting, at least for the moment. So this may be the beginning of a set of pit cycles. So we'll kind of see how that all sorts out. But we'll switch back and just take an overall view of the field and just let the iRacing monitor give us a chance to see what we can see. And if we pick up anything, we'll absolutely go back and review any incidents that may pop up.
Now is that time for the Porsche Sport car, if they have to pit, to just put the power down, extract the maximum they can out of their car, and overtake the team slow pace. I think it was team slow pace, right?
Yes,
exactly.
team slow pace.
Number 7, yeah.
Yep.
If they want to, I mean, it's still 2 hours to go, 2 hours and close to 10 minutes to go, so less than that.
Right.
So a lot can happen as well, and this fight is definitely one to watch until the ending stages of this race.
Yeah, definitely. It's always nice to see battles for podium positions late in the race. I will say I will go with something Colin was looking at when he came on to relieve me earlier. We were talking about the best lap times in the GTE field, and it looks like the top 6 cars all have best laps now in the 149. So the track has definitely cooled off to make these cars run better. Track temp is now 19C. So it's really conducive to getting some cooler air in those engines to get a little more horsepower. The cooler air gives you a little more downforce. The tires don't get hot as much, so you can keep them in their operating window better. And everything is set up for some great fast lap times. As we see a huge pack of LMP cars working their way around. I believe that's Porsche.
I would like to. I think.
Is that Ronin? Okay, it is Ronin Sims. No, it's not Ronin. I'm sorry, that's the LMP car.
No, the GTE is Next Level Racing number 1.
Oh, okay.
It's car number 777.
777. Yep. Okay.
All good.
So
and they are all doing a pit party.
So pit cycles are going on currently. I think that's what we just heard. So everybody's coming in and getting there, and those are.
Look at that. Yep. Both next level cars in the pits.
Yep. The downside of excuse me. The downside of watching these races at night is it becomes a little more difficult to pick out a car color and call it out properly.
Yeah, we get too used to the liveries, right?
Yeah, I think you could tell the shape pretty easy because the shapes of the cars are pretty unmistakable, so you can get good silhouettes, but not always the easiest to pick out a car number or a car color. And it appears that we have a driver change in the 777 car. Yours Bloom is back in the car for the next level number 1 GTE. And I'm looking at them. They came in the pits together. They're going out the pits together. So I guess the question is we get a driver change for the other car? Eric Burnley is in the car now. Was he in the car earlier?
Yes.
Okay.
There was no driver change for the car. I was here just scanning for some action around the track, and I was reminded of the battle earlier with Banzu and Ronan. If I recall correctly, Ronan was behind Banzu, right?
I think that was correct.
Well,
I think Banzu was in the lead at one point in time.
Yes. So it was battle for 5th through 7th, and right now, Ronan Vincenzo is in 5th place with a 5-second lead over Banzu.
Yep. Definitely 5 and 7 have switched positions. Looks like that the 64 car has for Reaper Racing has maybe pitted over the last couple of laps. Check that.
Which car? Sorry.
64 car of Tobias Breach.
Yeah, Reaper Racing just pitted 2 or 3 laps ago. On lap 329, we are on lap 331.
Yeah, but Vincenzo did pass Daniel Galan on track and is now, it looks to be about 6 seconds ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was taking a look as we were talking about next level, and there are 2 GT cars. Yep. So as they're running now, the GT car, GT number 1, who is in 2nd place in class, has a rear guard, a wingman, if you will, by his sister car. Next Level Racing by SJS number 2 is running directly behind him. So kind of wonder if maybe a block party coming, just in case, because Porsche Sport is on the same lap. Now they are 50 seconds back, or 58 seconds back. So no real battle yet. But the sister car could have a definite advantage for the next level guys.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Nope.
I was going to say to not forget about that Porsche Sports still hasn't been in, but while Team Base and Next Level have already been in.
Well, that's true. That's a good point.
They are the only GT cars of the front that haven't, of the top 5 at least, that hasn't bid it. And the only battle here right now is really the battle with Team Base. Let's just see if on the long run they can actually catch up to the to V2.
Yeah. So Porsche Sports' last pit was lap 286, so they're about 30 laps on this stint. So they should be in the pits in the next couple of laps. I would say that's probably a good call by you.
Yeah.
So we may have a replay to show.
Car number 64. Like that's just an off track. or is it
Nope,
not?
nope. There was definitely
No.
somebody back there.
Yeah, there
Um,
is.
Not the best camera angle, but definitely looked like he had that Tobias Bleach
Oh,
ran into some issues.
oh, it's oh yeah, this is much better. You can actually see. That was a very weird. That was very weird. Since these cars have so much downforce, to actually just lose the rear like that probably just took a bit more off curb than.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of times is you'll hook the inside of that red and white curb with the front tires, and it will pull you around because it won't let it go, and then your tail just is free to do whatever it wants. So I've had that happen to me on a couple of occasions, especially here at this track. It seems like there's a little bit of a lip on the back side of that red and white curb if you're on the green. That if you don't catch it just right, it will absolutely not let go of that tire. So
That's it's interesting to know.
Yeah, yeah. As a matter of fact, I think that was one of my off-track excursions in the 6 hours race that Colin and I did. Is going on the Schumacher S on the right side entry curb. A lot of times you'll want to jump up on that curb and ride until you get to your turning point for the midpoint of the S, and it just said, oh, you're going straight. It's like, okay. Basically just completely missed that curb and took a ride through the grass, and luckily didn't hit anything. So it was good there. But yeah, it will definitely catch your car and turn it if you're not careful.
Well, it seemed that there was no damage, so
yeah,
just a tiny bit slide. So anytime soon, Porsche Sports should be pitting.
Yep, that's kind of just checking them, as a matter of fact.
Ronan still increasing the gap over Banzu on the LMP2 class. The gap is now 6.6 seconds, 6.8 seconds over car number 22, Banzu RX FLOWT.
Yeah, I think we're just calling them Banzu RX Flow. I'm not sure if that's the actual.
I don't know either, but
the actual pronunciation.
It's close. It's close.
Yeah.
I'd just like to point out so last race at Spa we saw Kislenko fighting on the top spots, and then again they are back at the front on top three, running top three.
Well, we got a car off that is Galan in the Banzu car, and he has reset back to the pits.
So just checking in. Oh, their engine just blew.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Why would it blow up? Probably from
if they had any front end damage. The LMP2 cars can take quite a bit on the sides and still keep running. The back as well. Obviously, you lose a lot of downforce if you start messing the wing up. But on the front, if the front gets crushed a little bit, it changes the airflow in, and you lose your you lose a lot of your top speed, and it does damage the engine. So, I think we'll talk about Mr. Thomas Cope and I, since he's in here, ran 6 hours of Monza last year, and I think I did 11 seconds of damage to the nose. They came in and fixed it, but I'd ran the car a half a lap as we see Porsche Sport entering the pits. I'd ran the car half a lap with a crushed nose, and then so the engine blew 4 laps later because it just got too hot. Engine is a deal, and that's a 30+ minute repair job.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they stick it out. And as I see driver change for Porsche Sport, Ryan Parkins is getting in the car.
I forgot to mention that Core Motorsports on the GT class has also just gotten out of the car. They just parked it. I don't know what happened. Might have been damage. Might have been just feeling like they due to the team issues with drivers or something. Compatibility. I mean, schedule compatibility. I'm just trying to find the right words.
Yep.
Schedule compatibility to continue the race probably. But it's a shame. It's a shame that they were running. I mean, it was a few laps ago, but they were not running too far down. It's a shame for Benz. They were running P6.
What I will say, I did check, and Daniel did get out of the car, but he did climb back in, which leads me to think that he's going to sit the repairs out and then get back out on the track, which I'm happy to hear about. I'm happy to see.
What's unfortunate about these races is that we just have the car number 113 with well, that doesn't look good. Well, the LMP cars are very easily repairable, but you still lose the time.
Yes, it's just time that you can't get back, and the only thing you can hope for sometimes is other teams make a mistake. I did hear report that somebody went off the track. TC, can you tell me who that was again? The MJR team? I believe that's what you said. The MJR team had a spin.
They just spun in the chicane on the second. So you go to the first left, and the car just stepped out. So sorry, the second right. The car just stepped out on the curbs and sent them straight into the wall. Nothing they could do too much there. But they're already running, so.
Right. I think that, and I'm trying to verify this, but I think the reason Core is not on the track is I think they were handed a pretty harsh penalty. I don't know if that means they're just waiting the penalty out, if they're going to get back on. But they had I think it was classified as a dangerous driving incident or unsafe rejoining, and off track, and basically the driver did something that was deemed unsafe by race control, and so they were penalized for it. So I think that might have had something to do with the reason they're sitting in the pits. Obviously there's probably that was there was that was quite a while ago, so I'm not sure if that's if that's the sole reason, if they had other issues on top of that. So. So we're at 10 hours and 10 minutes elapsed. We have an hour and 50 minutes left. Sorry, hour and 50 minutes left in the race. Fuga is still leading and still sitting on a 0x for the race, which becomes more and more legendary with each passing lap. Ronan Simsport, I'm sorry, let's try Leo Racing Team is still leading in the LMP2 category. And then Ronan Simsport is leading in the GTEs. Still, like I said, an hour and 50 minutes. I'm looking down the leaderboard. I see it appears, and I'm going by laps down to the leader. It appears that Reaper Racing and Ronan Simsport Academy are in P5 and P6 in LMP2, and they're on the same laps down to the leader. I'm looking at them on find them on our timing and scoring screen. Yep, 4-second gap between Tobias Bleach and Vincenzo Amico. We're trying to see that we're looking at a little technical thing as our TC, our technical director, was mentioning something to me. I'm gonna say that looked like it's a big blip for everybody on the server, TC. I've seen that happen a couple of times. As we're getting some throughput issues. So if you're still watching the race, please bear with us. But it's been a day for technical snafus outside of our normal broadcast. It's just some new things keep cropping up every time we do one of these races that we have to try and work through. So trying to look at other potential on-track battles. Shawshank Racing V.E.C. and Banzu RX. Banzu's in the pits, so that will change. In the GTE field, we have Team Slow Pace, Porsche Sport, Garage 69, and Juncos are all 59 laps down to the leader. And I'm trying to look at them on the timing and scoring screen to see what we've got here. So we've got Jonas Weiss that is 20 seconds ahead of Ryan Parkins in Porsche Sport. Jacob Ochmansky is 14 seconds behind Porsche. And Ezekiel Montero is 35 seconds behind. So that's a gap of about minute 10 between those four cars. So I'm trying to look at the drivers. So I can see a potential for a couple of these battles to tighten up over the course of the next of this stint. So
one battle I'm seeing tightening up a lot is Ronan chasing down Reaper Racing on the car number 64, and Vincenzo is getting that gap very, very low and very, very fast.
Yeah, it's down to 2.3 seconds.
So this last lap, they were close to, more than a second. Or close to 1.3 seconds faster.
Wow.
Yeah, very close to 1.3 seconds faster.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really putting the hammer to it, because it's about 2 seconds currently. It looks like he is very rapidly approaching from the rear. As you can see them on screen together, as they're making their way through RTL and down to the hairpin.
Yeah, it's not like Vincenzo is really putting down a lot of pace, because he's actually running a bit slower than the leaders on the LMP2. But it's just that the gap with these two drivers is just big, you know, in terms of pace. That Vincenzo is probably going to get the track position in this pit cycle.
So yeah, let's keep an eye on this battle for the time being. I want to see. Let's see. While we're looking at that on screen, I can do a little researching here. All right. So for Reaper Racing, their last pit was at 3:05. They are now starting on lap 341. So that feels like they should be getting ready for another pit stop here in the next couple of laps.
And again, Ronan being faster by close to 1.1 seconds.
Yeah, so it's Vincenzo Amico, their last pit was at 3:37, and they're on 3:41 also. So it may be some fresher tires in play here, which would make me want to ask you, Vitor, with a track temp at 19C, knowing that you've been double stinting tires as with track temps as high as 22 and 23, is it worth the time savings to maybe triple stint on this last little run down to the end of the race?
Well, it's not really. I mean, it does come out to the pressures. I've done my homework based on the last time you asked me this question, temperatures and everything, tire wear. So I've done my homework, and I've actually had a few hints from a technical assistant from iRacing. It turns out that the tires, it depends more. Of course, the pressures and temperature, the carcass temperatures depend a lot on track temp and all of that. But the tire wear is mostly down to how you drive your tires. So it's mostly down to the driver. And we know that in the LMP2 cars, you don't have braking assistance, but you have, of course, traction control. But even on traction control, you don't want to be there, because that will eat your tires. So it's the triple stinting, and it could be doable. You won't definitely have the same grip you'll have on a fresh tire set or on a second stint set, but it could be doable if you know how to extract the most out of it. I don't think it's the right play, to be honest. I never thought it was worth it to triple stint the tires unless you have your car damaged and the car is eating the tires gradually. It's still the suspension and the geometry is still okay, but you're just slow. You don't have a lot of pace, so you just take the triple stints because you're not carrying that much speed through the cars. You're not eating the tires so much, so you can actually take a bit of advantage there. Now, if your car is running at full speed and full capacity, I don't think it's the right strat to go for triple stints.
Okay. Well, cool. Well, that's good information. That's why I asked the question, because I know that you do a lot of setups for the team, so I know that you've done your homework, because I've heard you talk about it very passionately before. So I wanted to get it out. I wanted to get it out there. So as we see this gap now between Reaper Racing and Ronan Sim Sport Academy is now 0.3 of a second. As he's getting his yeah, absolutely. As he's looking to the inside to see if he can make that move.
I think it's just applying the pressure right now. It's just letting him know he's there, and just trying to make Tobias make a mistake or go wide in some corner, or just applying the pressure. It's called the mine punt.
The mine punt. Yes, we're familiar with the mine punt. As we see Fuga working their way through. So, he's really he is really making putting the pressure on from behind, trying to see if he can force an error out of Tobias. So far, Tobias has held his ground, is running good consistent line. Maybe a little squirrely coming out of the hairpin.
It might be what you were talking about. It might be a rubber difference here.
Yeah, I'm thinking that might have something to do with it. Because I know, I think we said Tobias is due for a pit stop. So he should be on very light fuel, which at a certain point becomes a little detrimental because you lose a lot of that rear grip in the LMP2 car. I know you're familiar with that. Once the fuel gets down to a certain level, you don't get as much of that good downforce as you would normally, because there's just not enough weight in the rear of the car.
Oh, and is that Adam Cal? Yeah, that is Adam Cal from Legends Racing. He's a lap driver, but he's really catching up to these cars. So now Vincenzo has to make a choice: either pass Tobias, or just stay there and let Adam go ahead. I don't know. I think we might see Vincenzo making a decision very soon.
Right. Yep, he's looking for a spot. He is looking for a move, and it was a good defensive positioning by Tobias with Reaper. As we see the run back down to the hairpin and see if we're going to get maybe a late braking. Oh, nope, not so much.
Yeah, this is definitely not the spot for it.
Yeah, this is not a good place to try and make a pass. I would agree.
He's probably going to try and go for the punch.
Okay. Thank you, TC. We've got a replay to watch here after we get done with this battle. So we want to keep an eye on this for the time being and see what shakes out.
It doesn't look like he's going for it.
Yep, we want to see he is 3/10 back going into Coca-Cola, and let's see if he gets the run out of Coca-Cola to get the run down. Whoop, it looks like we got a little that lap car. This looks like it's going to be preventing any kind of passing from going on right here. As we see the whole gaggle of LMP cars working their way through Mercedes Arena.
Adam Cal going around the outside of both both LMPs fighting for position, and now currently sitting in the middle. Vincenzo's definitely not happy with that.
Oh no! Yep, the lights be a flashing. Adam Cal, but Adam Cal, even though they're a few laps down to these drivers, he's making his presence felt and showing that he's got some speed in this car.
Absolutely. Just opportunistic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's and that was I could not tell if there was contact, but definitely Adam was a little bit later on the brakes than Tobias was, which shuffles Adam back behind Vincenzo. So now Vincenzo is back again to see if he can get around Tobias from Reaper Racing. So this turned out to be a very interesting battle with extra characters in this play that we weren't expecting.
Oh, Vincenzo is really close coming out of this corner, last corner. Will he?
Yep. Is he getting enough of the toe down the straight to make a move? He is trying to get on the inside, but not enough. He has to back out. Oh, and then Reaper locked up, which gave a chance for Vincenzo to work around the outside of Arena, which is still working it, which he'll get the inside now. So if he can keep the nose there, not quite. Oh, but then makes a good move down to the outside, going into RTL.
Tobias got a little bit loose there.
Oh yeah, that was it. That was well played by everybody, but that was a great move by Vincenzo to take that spot. That was outstanding racing by Ronin Sim Sport Academy LMP car, as well as Reaper Racing and Adam Kell of Legends Racing, who is still hanging in back there, who still wants to try and get around everybody. So it's been that was a nice little battle there. So let's stay here for just a moment before we go back to that. I know that we do have a replay that we've got loaded up, so we'll show that in just a minute. I just want to make sure that that this battle seems to be done for the time being. Looks like the gap is about 0.4 of a second going into the chicane.
Yeah, it was very weird how Vincenzo closed the gap so fast, but it was having trouble just getting past Tobias. Probably setup difference or I don't know. The toe really doesn't allow you to let's say get the most downforce possible and the speed that you feel comfortable with. I'd say Vincenzo was just playing it safe. And,
I think that's it.
Make a mistake.
Yeah. I think he showed the inside move, and then Tobias took the corner, turned one corner wide, and I did see some a puff of smoke, like he may have locked up the brakes, which gave Vincenzo that opening. All right, so let's go back and review the crash that happened a few moments earlier. This is Conan Wern in the number 79 car, Ronin Sim Sport. See, and just spun going through there. Looks like he just might have had a little too much speed, or did he he didn't disconnect. Did he? Okay. Yeah, he blinked out. I didn't know if he disconnected or maybe he towed, but it doesn't look like he towed. So yeah, just I couldn't tell from that angle if maybe he got a little help from behind. If we could see a different angle of that crash, maybe we'll get a better view. See coming down into the corner. Nope, just too much speed and loses the rear end of the car in the Michelin curve. So Ronin Sim Sport is on the track. They still have the class lead. So still 1+ laps ahead of the field or of their class. So no, not really any harm. Didn't see like it had any damage or anything. So of course you never can tell when you jump those curbs at weird angles what may be floor damage or front splitter or diffuser. Could get damage in there, but we'll keep an eye on it to see.
I know we currently are on the GTEs, but Vincenzo just put a hot lap, 1:43.27, which is very fast from where we've been watching from. the LMP2 field doing at the moment. The gap
Yeah.
is right now close to 7 seconds to Tobias. So there was definitely something going on there. Only playing it a bit too safe, I'd say. But
Yeah, that's okay though. That's it's you know, he bade his time, but he made his pass when he was able to, and so now he stretched that gap back out. And so we're looking at the GTEs. If you want to go back to that TC, we were looking at Jonas V.E.C. in the team slow pace car. We were talking about this battle earlier. It's between Team Slow Pace, Porsche Sport, and Garage 69 plus one. They're all in the same lap, and the gap between the three cars is now about 22 seconds. It's 12 seconds between Slow Pace and Porsche Sport, and then another 10 seconds or so between Porsche Sport and Garage 69 plus one. So that is the appears to be the closest battle. I'm looking at Andrei Efamenko of FFW Kislenko, who is about 10.5 seconds behind Benjamin Johnson in the Venomworks endurance car.
And then Jean-Claude right on the Bro Sim Racing. Like 10 seconds behind.
That's actually the battle I should be talking about is Jean-Claude Pelletier. In the Bro Sim Racing is 10 seconds behind Andrei Efamenko. So make sure I get that correct. So thank you for that, Vitor. Okay, so Jacob Oshmansky for Garage 69 plus one. They have made their pit stop. There was a driver change. Bart Decatur is now in the car with an hour and a half left. My guess is he will be in the car for the remainder of the race. So we'll see if that shakes that up as we got GTEs that are making pit stops. So let's look at Team Slow Pace. Look at their last laps. Their last pit stop was on 3:12, and they're currently on. Yep. So 3:11, 3:12. They're currently on 3:34. So they'll be coming up soon. Porsche Sport, I think they were just in the pits a few laps ago. Yeah, they were. Yep, go ahead.
Sorry, but Porsche Sport, I remember they were close to 18 seconds away from Team Slow Pace. And right now they're close to 13.5. So Porsche Sport really has the pace advantage at this point of the race, or at least with this combination of drivers right now. So we could see like we said like an hour ago, Porsche Sport fighting for a third position towards this hour and 30, close to an hour and 30 remaining on this race.
Right. Yeah. They may be sitting in a good position to get that last podium spot. And they're about, I think, 13 laps into their stint. So I'm just going to look at the rest of them. You go ahead and say what you're going to say. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say that right now the pressure is on for every team because as we closer for, of course, the LMP2s, still have, if they were to pit now, they still have close to 2.5 stints. But for the GTE cars, that's not really the reality. The reality is that these cars are probably going to finish their stints and have one and a half, not even 1.5 stints of racing left. So these drivers really they can't miss right now because if a tiny little bit of mistake, it's enough to get them 10 seconds, to make them lose 10 seconds or 5 seconds. Or even if they lose 8, it's just that extra motivation that the other driver gets. And then, you know that feeling when you're chasing someone and you really see them close and you feel like you smell blood, and
That's it.
It's the extra motivation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've been on both sides of that at least one time during my iRacing career.
Yeah, of course. It always happens.
Yeah, where I've been out front and like, hey, I got 15 seconds on the guy behind me, and then all of a sudden I'm off mowing the grass. As well as been behind somebody trying to track them down, and they end up mowing the grass. So yeah, I think most iRacing drivers have experienced both sides of that coin. So yeah, so we're looking at all these cars are within. So all the 3 GTE cars that we're looking at that are battling, they're within about 20 seconds apart from the beginning to the end. Have all got to at least make looks like one more pit stop. And they're all at a point now that I think they can make it with one more pit stop. So it just depends on when they take that stop. And I think the question still is if you're coming in, I think Porsche Sport, like I said, I think we just Porsche Sport's about midway through theirs. So they'll be coming up about the 1 hour mark of getting that last pit stop. And then Mark Decatur from Garage 69 Plus One is they're just in the front third of theirs, so they'll be well into that last one, which means they'll be taking a not quite a full fuel tank. So then the gamble is, do we take a partial fuel and skip the tires and see if we can get them knock down a 20-second pit stop? And maybe make up some time that way.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what's on these teams. Depends on the driver. That's the car at the moment and everything. The driver that finishes the race is comfortable with all these little gambles. Sometimes they might work out very well, or they might not work that well.
Yeah, I understand. So I'm looking now. We're going to go back. This will be if Jonas for Team Slow Pace stays in the car. That will be his third stint, which is absolutely doable because I think we've had other teams that have done third stints or done 3 stints with a driver. If we go to look at Porsche Sport, Ryan Parkins just got in the car. So he's still on his first stint. So my guess is he's probably finishing up. His lap times are comparable to Josh Kim's, who was in the car previous to that.
On a side note, last lap, Porsche Sport was faster 2 seconds.
Yeah.
In comparison to Team Slow Pace. And right now, 1 second. This lap, 1 second, yeah.
Yep.
Porsche Sport is really coming after them.
Yep. Well, as we've seen with the LMP2s, it's one thing to catch somebody, it's another thing to pass them. So, Bart Decatur for Garage 69 Plus One is just now on lap 3 of his stint. He just got in the car, so my guess is he will finish up the race. It's like it's been, yeah. Yep, I'm going to say that's everybody has got their fair share. So that's taken care of. And yeah, so Bart actually has the fewest of the laps of the team. So my guess is he'll finish up the race as well. So I don't expect any more driver changes amongst those 3. We still may see, if I can go down my entry list again, we'll see if there's anybody that's missing. I don't see anybody that's missing fair share. So it looks like everybody has that qualification taken care of. We're 10 hours and 40 minutes of elapsed time. An hour and 20 minutes left. Hour and 22 minutes left because we have to throw the grid time in there. Fugasim Sport's still on a 0x. I'm going to keep trying to jinx them. I don't really want to do that, but I'm just throwing it out there that these guys are obviously having a brilliant race.
absolutely. It's 12 hours and 4 minutes at least without a single off track. And bear in mind that sometimes even if you're a faster class car, the slightest movements from slower cars, for example GT cars, can actually make you react overly cautious, being overly cautious, and actually taking fast maneuvers when really wasn't necessary, you know. And if that didn't happen so far, 10 hours and 41 minutes with Fuga, or if it did, they were super slow and didn't actually get penalized with an incident for it. It's really amazing how consistent you have to be to be passing all of the field and not have a single off track or a single incident where you have to take.
It's almost like you know, they didn't do anything wrong, and then everybody they passed didn't do anything wrong for the entire race. So because I agree with you. Sometimes that you'll as we've seen here, you'll try and make we'll try and not necessarily make a pass, but you'll stay up behind a slower car in order to make the pass, and they don't do what you would anticipate them doing. So it will definitely throw you off your game for at least a split second. So I agree. I think hats off to them again for just a masterful race. We're back to the still looking at Jonas V.E.C. Or V.E.C. of Team Slow Pace. I'm gonna pronounce his name different way every time. One of will probably be okay. All of them could be wrong, but we want to just keep talking about this. Ryan Parkins, the gap now between Slow Pace and Porsche Sport is now under 6.5 seconds. So to your point, Vitor, he's closing the gap down significantly every lap. Last lap times they had about a 7/10 advantage. Porsche Sport did as far as lap times go. So he's not making up gap by leaps and bounds, but it's very steady. And there's still an hour and 17 minutes left in the race, so there's still plenty of time for him to make the time up.
I was just checking up on the LMP2 field, and it doesn't seem that we have any close battles going on right now. It's probably on pit cycles and everything, that everyone is just a bit spread out.
So that's what I'm seeing also.
Yeah, I think we're following Rosin Racing and FFW Kislanko. So far, none of these teams are in reach with one another. And in fact, they actually pitted close to each other. Kislanko pitted on lap 353, and Rosin Racing pitted on lap 355. So it's still 40 seconds away from each other, but yeah, I don't know. It's not even close. I think this was the battle we were following earlier, wasn't it?
I believe it was.
Might have happened something.
The gap is a minute. Let's see. Take a look at those guys, and we'll see if we can see what's going on. If we see anything with FFW Kislanko.
This was mentioned before, but V.E.C. Racing changed their drivers on their pit stop 2 laps ago to V.C. Boyd.
Yep.
Oh, it's not V.C. that has V.C. that has a fast lap. I don't think, from what I've seen, Vincenzo is really putting the heat down, and we saw this on Spa as well, where Vincenzo towards the end of the race was just going, all out, and he's just putting stellar pace towards the end of the race. Might be the conditions, might be like I don't know, he pops a Red Bull and just goes for it, you know?
So I will say Andre Efemenko, FFW Kislenko, pitted up about 7 laps ago and did a driver swap. And Brosim Racing is on they're about 28, 29 laps into their stint. So I think that we might have been talking about FFW or Vincenzo in the Run and Sim Sport Academy car. And he's been in the car for 337, 358, so 21 laps. So I think that gap will tighten up as Blessier has to come in and serve his pit stop, which doesn't unless they can manage to stay out for another 25 minutes or so. I don't think they're going to be able to make it on one more stop. They may have to come in for a splash.
Well, either way, so far it seems that Field is pretty much set to finish this way, unless something dramatic happens, really dramatic.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's.
Yeah, and also looking a little further down the GTE field, Juncos Racing is making strides, catching up. That is Ezekiel Monteiro in the Juncos car. They're about 10.5 seconds back behind Garage 69 plus 1, and it appears to be closing that gap down. So we still have a couple of GTE battles left to settle, as we see Ryan Parkins has now got the gap down to under 2.5 seconds behind the Team Slow Pace car.
Yeah, I was just about to say, if you go two spots ahead, it's literally 2 seconds.
Yep, I'm watching.
Yeah.
So this looks like a battle that has been brewing and getting a little closer every lap. The last lap for these guys, Jonas for slow pace did a 152 dead, and then Parkins for Ryan in the Porsche Sport car did a 150.8, so 1.1 seconds and change that he made up on the last lap. And as for the 2 cars behind them, Bart Decatur, Bart did his last lap was a 151 dead, and Ezekiel for for Juncos did a 150.4. So the Porsches are starting to work their way back toward the front again. As we've seen so many times during the course of the season, those Porsche cars are very stout over the long haul. Especially, we've seen that with Porsche Sport. We always talk about them always having good practice times, maybe not the best qualification. They'll usually qualify in the top 5 to 7, but then when it comes to race time, they're always up toward the front near the end of the race. As we are now at about 1 hour and 12 minutes or so left. So we'll continue to watch these as we're looking at Team Slow Pace. That gap is now down to 1.3 seconds back to Porsche Sport.
Hello?
No, hello.
All right. Oh, all right.
There we go.
I was having some issues here with all the keybinds and everything.
Yep.
But so I was just gonna say, we might get robbed of a pass again if Team Slow Pace just goes for the pit in.
Yeah, their pit stop is coming up, so we'll see. I mean, it kind of makes sense to if you know that the guy's about to overtake you, just go ahead and take your pit stop, get your fresh tires, get your fuel, and come on back out and see if you can make something happen on the undercut.
Well, truth be told, though, if even these two teams get to the end, I would say it's a disadvantage for. I mean, sorry, I rephrased what I'm saying. What I was about to say. I was about to say if number 7, if Team Slow Pace were to pit in now and take a full fuel and a full stint and tires and everything, I don't think they probably need tires if they are on if they took tires last time. But as you can easily double stint on the GT cars, but as we see, they are getting very close. If Team Slow Pace if Team Slow Pace were to take a full tank of fuel, they would get behind. They would lose out to Porsche, mostly due to the time they would take to actually fill in the tank. But I forgot that they actually might have a bit of fuel left and not take more of a strategic approach to it and let Porsche be a bit alone, and because we play into that sort of psychological thing. When you're chasing someone down, you're putting your best foot forward. You're doing your best. You're focused. You're really in the zone. But when you're alone, it's not really that easy to, at least for me, I talk from my experience. But it's definitely not as easy to get that pace going.
And I think if you're trailing behind another car, I think you get a little better increased visibility also, because now you have two sets of headlights in front of you, as opposed to one. And that was a good defensive line going down to the hairpin by Team Slow Pace in the number 7 car. Porsche Sport is just right up on the back. It's like one car length.
Oh, this might be it.
And he's not gonna. I don't. Yeah, I don't. I was gonna say I didn't think he was gonna try it into the chicane, but I'm looking at possibly a pass down the main straight if he gets a good run out of the corner. Gap is 0.4 of a second, and closing he got a pretty good run out of the corner. It's down to 0.3, quarter second. Looking to the inside, not quite enough.
Ooh, lock up.
But lock up on the Corvette, and that was the same thing we saw earlier between the two LMP cars. The front car gets a lock up, and now you got side-by-side action with Fuga just splitting the group. As we see Porsche on the right and on the inside, they'll be on the outside of this corner, and so not quite able to get the pass made. I think Fuga may have interjected themselves at just possibly the wrong time for Porsche Sport.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but everybody survived, so it got a chance to do it again. So,
well, I think right now what is going on the head of Ryan is, I have the pace. I have 1 hour to work this out. I don't need to take any risks with 1 hour left. So, because realistically, they're not going to catch next level racing, and because they were let down. The only fight there is now is for top 3. Is for his 4th and 3rd, and who gets those positions. Right now, Ryan has a massive base advantage. We saw that. We saw he's come up to this point, and I don't think there's really a need for Ryan to be putting himself through risky situations and risk actually getting the car damaged, and just sticking with fourth place.
I agree. And this time the gap is 3/10 coming out of the corner, so he's much closer. And there's a defensive line by Slow Pace taking the inside away, making Porsche Sport trying to work to the outside.
Yeah, I think Team Slow Pace got its way too tight there, but they did defend it.
So, some great driving by both these teams.
Very respectful.
You know, yeah, not wanting to give up that podium position just yet. So we know that there's still pit stop cycle left to go. So they're going to try and stay in that podium position for as long as they can until they have to go in pit. But yes, I agree with you. The Porsche Sport car seems to have the speed advantage, especially on the straights. Especially through the corners. A little lock up on the inside. And there's the pass. Look at that. Look at that strong move out by the Porsche.
That was really strong traction coming out of that. And he's done.
We got another LMP. Yep, job done for now. We got an LMP coming in to break these guys up a little bit. I believe that's Legends Racing. Adam getting his screen time, one way or the other. So, it's good to see the guys still out there battling, even though they're a little further back in the field than I'm sure they'd like to be. They're still out there making laps, and that's the thing. As we see the Corvette for Team Slow Pace now making their way into the pits, potentially with about an hour and 5 minutes left. I'm going to presume that's probably their last pit of the night.
Definitely.
So
I wouldn't think they would need to stop again.
Right. As we're looking, as they're pitting and we're watching Porsche Sport continue on, I just want to go back to that other battle we were talking about with Garage 69 plus one and Juncos Racing. That gap is now down to 8 seconds. And there is a driver change, so Mads Jensen comes in for Team Slow Pace to finish off the race.
It's their fastest driver. I didn't want to say it, but I had to say it.
What?
This is gonna be very exciting.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna try and get that podium, you put the guy in that you think is going to do the job. So put Jensen back in the car and see what happens. So the gap now between Bart and Garage 69 and Ezekiel and the Juncos car is 4 seconds. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's that Slow Pace coming out of the pits. In between those cars is about 8 seconds gap. So that's where but Team Slow Pace is a lap ahead. So he's just in the middle on the track, but not necessarily for position. So he'll have to work his way. So he'll have to work his way back through through some of the lap traffic in order to try and make that time up, or try and keep his lap times consistent as he's waiting on Ryan Parkins from Porsche Sport to make their final pit stop of the race. Thank you, Thomas Cope, for correcting me. This actually is for position. So as it currently stands, Roland Simsport GTE is in P1. Next Level Racing GTE 1 is in P2. Porsche Sport is in P3. Team Slow Pace is in P4. I'm sorry, P5. My timing and scoring hasn't updated yet. Garage 69 plus 1 is in P4. Team Slow Pace is in P5. Juncos is in P6. All these cars, those 4 cars from Porsche Sport to Juncos are all on the same lap. So, so there will be some more battles. So it looks like, I think these were, and I think we were talking about this earlier. I think these were the may have been the 4 cars that we had on track at very early in the race that seemed to be all around each other for many laps. And I think I said that cars that are on similar paces are usually end up finding themselves during the course of the race, and that may be happening again. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you for that information. Appreciate that.
So considering that Porsche Sport had the upper hand on Team Slow Pace, are those 4 seconds really gonna dictate if Porsche Sport comes out ahead or not? Are Porsche Sport gonna be able to pit and still come out ahead? Don't lose next episode. Well, it's not next episode, it's just next pit stop, you know.
Right. Yeah. So let's take a look at Porsche Sport. And let's try and take a little guess at what, let's see, their last pit stop was.
Porsche Sport was last pitted at lap 320.
Yeah, and they're at 348. Okay. All right. It looks like they're getting about 34 laps on a fuel stint. So we're looking at about another 6 laps or so before they make their pit stop. I'm just going to kind of work my way down through. We know that Team Slow Pace has just pitted, we think, for the final time.
Team Slow Pace.
Garage 69 plus 1 pitted on lap 333. They're serving lap 349, so that's 16 laps. Their previous stint was.
So yeah,
302. That's okay. They look like they're getting about 31 laps.
So what I was saying earlier is that really through the pit stop cycles, we are not fighting for position right now. It's just that when the pit stops, Juncos and Garage 69 plus 1 are going back behind Team Slow Pace and Porsche Sport. I mean, they are already behind Porsche Sport, but you know what I mean.
Right.
They're not going to stay ahead or have a possibility of staying ahead.
Right, yeah, I completely understand what you're saying. So 324, 350, so that's 26 laps for Juncos. They did 34 as well for the last one, so their next one will be very close to what Porsche Sport was. So we look like we're about 6 to 8 laps before all these cars have finished up their pits for the race, as we're 55 minutes away from the end. And as you see the onboard with, I believe he said Juncos Racing is what he told me. So
yes.
Yep, that's correct. Okay, so kind of keep an eye on this. So we're just going to monitor this because the gap is a minute 21 between Porsche Sport and Garage 69 plus one. Knowing that Porsche Sport has got to pit again, the gap between Garage 69 plus one and Team Slow Pace is 2.6 seconds. And the gap between Slow Pace and Juncos is 3 seconds, but Juncos still has a pit to make. So I'm thinking at this point that it may be a 3-car battle between Porsche Sport and the 2 Corvettes of 69 Garage 69 plus one and Team Slow Pace.
No, I think no. Garage 69 plus one still has to bid it as well, right? They bid it on lap 333.
Okay.
They're doing 30 laps, so we are on lap 350. We still have 51 close.
Yep, you're correct. So, all right, so we may have 2 battles. How about that? So we may have a battle for P3 and a battle for P5 between Porsche Sport, Garage 69 plus one, Team Slow Pace, and Juncos in that second battle.
So Team Slow Pace and Porsche really trading blows, but Porsche still edging out close to 3/10 faster than Team Slow Pace. I mean, Team Slow Pace did change their varsity driver, but it does seem that unless Ryan, I think it's Ryan, right? Or Ryan Parkins, unless Ryan sees team and has to come out of the car, which doesn't seem, because he just hopped in for this stint, and he's probably going to finish the race. Unless he loses his team, it looks like it's set to be Porsche Sport on 3rd place and Team Slow Pace on 4th.
Yeah, just it's one of those we'll just have to wait and see. But it should be interesting toward the end of the race. Looking just up and down the leaderboard, the only other battle that's within 1 minute is Jean-Claude Pellissier, and that is in the Bro Sim Racing car. They are 24 seconds ahead of Ronan Simsport, and that's with Steve Cooley behind the wheel.
So Vincenzo changed seat, right? Yeah.
Yep, he did.
Well, he already got the position. Now Steve finishes.
So so I think that like I said, I think we'll be watching. I do want to kind of keep an eye on Garage 69 plus one in the 691 car, because they are about 2 seconds ahead of Mads Jensen in Team Slow Pace. So it may be that Mads can get a little bit of help from the car in front, maybe catching some tow down the straights to help maybe tighten that gap back up between them once Porsche Sport takes their final pit stop.
Absolutely. It's their play now. Porsche Sport dipped under the 50s on the last lap. Amazing.
Yeah, that's a good lap.
Just 2.5 tenths out of out of their outright fastest. That's really amazing pace to have at the end of the race.
That is really amazing pace.
It does seem that Team Slow Pace is not catching the break with all the LMPs coming now, but you know, it's the same for everybody. Just get a bit of tow down the straight. Yeah, Team Slow Pace now really being able to match the pace that Ryan Porsche is doing.
starting to see the track usage going up. I'm seeing some very dark patches in some of the corner exits from the marbles, which makes passing even a little more trickier as we're going through here.
Oh, definitely. It's definitely not where you want to be. If you, those marbles are deadly.
And as we can see, I can see the Garage 9+1 car, and I can see Porsche Sport is now in the pits, taking their final pit stop, and they have exited. And it was a 1 minute pit stop. So we'll wait for. Yep. So it was they got a 2 second advantage with pit exchange. So we'll wait and see once the cycle, once the timing and scoring recycles, we'll see what that gap is. It's very quickly coming down.
Oh, it definitely doesn't look good for Team Slow Pace. They are coming into turn 2, and Porsche Sport is already way down into the hairpin before Schumacher S.
Yep, looks like the gap is about 29 seconds. So, yeah, so definitely Slow Pace came out the loser in that exchange for sure. But they're going to get, hope, there's always that chance that they'll get, as they empty the fuel tank, that they can get a little bit faster. Don't know. I would think that Porsche didn't go with a full fuel set, knowing that they didn't need it. They put just enough in there to finish the race.
And probably a weird timing on tires as well. Like Team Slow Pace might have double stinted or single stinted at the wrong time, and right now just decided to just fuel in and keep going, and they had to change tires, otherwise the car would just be undrivable.
That's true. So we're going to keep an eye on that timing and to see what if Mads and can make up some of that gap. I know we're still waiting. I think Garage 69, their final pit stop of the race. I believe that's correct. Yep. So they're at lap 353. They last pit at lap 333. So they've got about another 11, 12 laps before they come in for their final one. So we'll see them in the next 20 minutes or so make their final pit stop. And then it'll just be between the 911 car and the 7 car. But the gap is dropping, so they are making up some time. It looks like they've picked up about a half second, I think, based on what I'm looking at on timing and scoring. So that doesn't seem like that's going to be quite enough to get them back up there. We'll just keep watching and see. Then it'll be see. So we've got 69+1 coming in the next, like I said, 11 or 12 laps. We've got Juncos that will be coming in so 29 to 54. That's 25. So they look like they've got about 7 or 8 more laps themselves. And then that'll be the battle for P5, unless something happens outside of the normal running at this point. So we should update that Fuga is still leading. Leo Racing Team is still leading the LMP2 class, followed by Winterworks Endurance. And London Sport GTE is still leading the GTE field, followed by the Next Level Racing 1 car. While we're concentrating on the battles for P3, P4, P5, P6, the rest of the people seem to be doing their jobs, keeping themselves out of trouble. No real battles. I think there's two other battles that are within 18 to 21 seconds in the LMP2 field. Trying to see if those times are changing. See Steve Cooley in the 26 car, BC Voigt in the 64. The gap is 18.5 seconds. Andrea Fomenko in the 144 car, and Jean-Claude Pelletier in the 13 car. That gap is 21.5 seconds. So it looks like the gap between the 911 car Porsche Sport and the 7 car Team Slow Pace, the gap has dropped still further, another half second to 7/10. So they are bringing the gap closer. Still doesn't look like it's going to be enough to get them in the last 45 minutes of the race, but stranger things have happened.
Definitely very quiet so far. Not much going on.
I just saw something on my screen. I just wanted to roll this back a little bit and see if I can see it again, and I'll tell you what I saw, if I can find it. Nope, I cannot find it. Ah, too bad. Like there was an LMP2 car that was just pretty much sideways coming through out of the corner, and apparently saved it because it didn't show up anywhere on our timing and scoring system, so which is good. So yeah, so we don't have a replay for the tail wagging, but it was like I said, it's I think I'd rather have it where it's not replayable at this point. We don't need to see any mayhem. Yep, still the gap is still coming down. It's still down to about 28 seconds. So between the 911 Porsche Sport car and Team Slow Pace to the number 7. So it's slowly, ever so slowly, coming down. we'll see as they get closer on the track. You know, when you see that car that you're tracking and you can finally see them down the straight, maybe that gives you a little extra motivation to make up even more gap. Down to about 40 minutes left in the race. It's a good view from inside the Team Slow Pace Corvette as he's working his way, trying to track down the Garage 69+1 car, as keeping that car in his sights, maybe giving him a little extra motivation because he knows he's making that gap up. He feels like he may be making the gap up to the Porsche Sport car, and that gap is coming down. It's now under 26 seconds. So Mads is definitely picking up the pace.
Only 38 minutes or 37 minutes remaining, so...
That was it, and he was, for Ryan Parkins, it was a 152.1 the last lap, and for Mads, it was a 150.4. So, question from our technical staff is, can Bart in the 69+1 car make it on fuel?
I don't believe so.
333. There's at least 20 laps left, so I'm gonna say no. I don't think he's gonna be able to get there.
Yeah, he has to bid.
He's got to bid again.
Probably not take full fuel, but it's gonna be tied between him and Yuko's car number 32.
I will say that Yuko's has made their final pit stop. It appears that they're a minute 7 behind Team Slow Pace. So now we'll just wait on Garage 69+1 to get their last stop in. We'll see how that shakes out, and then it'll be nothing but lapping traffic between P3, P4, and P5 and P6. And then we'll see who makes up the gaps and who can't. Not as much of a pickup the last time through. Mads only managed to get about 2/10 on Porsche Sport that lap. And we promise this is you're not really missing anything. This is the battle. This is the battle on the track. If you're used to us kind of just letting our racing work its way through, it doesn't look like we're getting a lot of off tracks, not a lot of incidents. It's just people making their laps at the end of this pretty intense race. We still are monitoring our last lap or our last stint battles. So we want to try and bring you as much close racing action as we possibly can. So we get a report that car number 26 is taking their last pit stop. That's Rowan Sim Sport Academy, Steve Cooley driving. And now driver change. Vincenzo Amico is getting back in the car. That will bring that car back to Reaper Racing, V.E.C. Voigt driving. So that battle may be shaping up, which may be why Vincenzo's getting back in the car. Because obviously we saw earlier he was setting some pretty blistering lap times during his previous stint. Just got a note that we will be having the return of Mr. Colin Taper in the next couple of minutes. He'll be coming in to finish up the race and conduct the driver interviews at the end of the race. I know I speak for everybody that we've enjoyed this as always. It's just fun. It's fun to watch racing, whether it be real racing or digital racing. We still enjoy it. I know he does as well, and I think he enjoys this probably more than the rest of us do. I know this is a little stretch for me as far as doing a broadcast of a race, but I'm having fun. So as long as you don't expect me to be crofty, then I think we'll be all right. So the gap now between Vincenzo in the 26 car, Ronan, is now 10 seconds back to V.E.C. Voigt. So we're going to watch those lap timings and see how that shakes out. We are still waiting on the final pit for Garage 69, which will put them back next to Juncos. I just saw that. I just saw them look like he may have just got a little loose and had to slow the car down. That's going to reduce that time. Let's see what we got here. Ryan Parkins going through up. And, yep, just gets the tail loose. Manages to save the car. No spin. Gets it stopped and gets that in. That looked like the Mercedes Arena at the final corner coming out. But that brings the gap down. It looks like Garage 69 plus one is in the pits. Yep, saw the off track by Robin Zipfel. And the 113 car for MJR Racing Team. Oh, and then a slap of the wall. And they'll slide right over onto pit lane. That was coming through the chicane. We've seen the LMP1s have some issues with the chicane today. So the gap between Ryan Parkins of Porsche Sport and Mads Jensen, as we welcome Colin Taper back into the broadcast booth, is about 24 seconds. I would have thought that that gap would have tightened up a little more than that. But not so much. And looks like that the Garage 69 plus one car is back out on the track after their pit stop. And they have a 40-second gap ahead to Team Slow Pace and a 27-second gap behind to Juncos. Colin, welcome back.
Thank you, Charlie. Very excited to join for the last half hour of the broadcast here.
Yes.
We've been following kind of most of the action here, I think. I do have one sterling piece of news that you guys might not have caught.
Okay.
I'm going to test you here.
All right.
It looks like Fuga Sim Sport now does have 1X.
Oh, wow. They sure do. Patrick Pelchat got the 1X. I almost want to go back and look and see what he did wrong. But I don't think it's worth it at this point.
Wrong is a relative term in this phrase. or
Yeah.
in this moment, in this context.
Even a 1X is pretty spectacular after 11 and a half hours of driving.
Please, I can't imagine it.
Yeah.
Although I will say I did 2 stints at Bathurst with 0X in a row, so I was very proud of that.
That's pretty amazing in its own right.
Well, yeah, I mean, taking pretty little risk, to be fair, but not completely slow. We did finish P8 that day, so
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, it was sad to see the retirement of Banzu RX Flow.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. Just to have the I believe their engine blown. Is that right?
That's my recollection. Yeah, their engine
so,
blew and put them probably just too much, repairs to bear to continue or have much hope of recovering after that. There wasn't enough race left, really.
Yeah, I mean, a 40-minute engine change in the last 3 hours of, in the last 3 hours of a race, and that's 15 laps that you're just not going to be able to make up, no matter how good your drivers are. The most you can hope for is everybody else starts dying. And then it's the reality is at this point, the cars that are still out there running are probably going to finish running one way or the other. Especially if they've got points to try and keep up with. I'm checking again. 25 seconds is the gap between Porsche Sport and Team Slow Pace. It said, and then it said something. Yep, 25 seconds. Okay, so we thought that might be that Mads was going to be able to make a charge. He was picking up ground while he had the Garage 69 plus 1 car between him and Porsche Sport. But it seems as if, and then with Parkins having a little half spin through the arena, I thought that gap may tighten up even further, but it doesn't appear that's to be the case. So the gap between Garage 69 plus 1, Bart Decatur, and Ezequiel Montero in the Juncos car is 24 seconds. So that's the battle for P5. So those battles have basically just have not materialized like we wanted. We'll go back and talk about Jean-Claude Pelletier in the BroSim Racing. But actually, I was going to talk about Vincenzo Amico jumping back in the car, in the 26 car for Ronin Sim Sport Academy. Has put more time. Just added about 3 seconds of a gap between him and BC Voigt in Reaper to try and solidify that P5 position.
Sure. Yep, it sounds like you guys are on top of what's happening today in the latter part of this race. It's been a journey. It was interesting seeing MJR having their little off there and rejoin and quick dive into the pits, and presumably there hadn't been too much damage, or that was going to be an interesting development.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I mentioned it as right after we watched the replay of it that we've had several of the LMP cars have had a little lawn mowing incident over there on the exit of the chicane, and found that outside retaining wall, padded wall. This seems like you just get a good, I guess, a tank slapper on that wall, and then just dive back into the pits and get your repairs made.
Yeah, we have seen that. I mean, for me, it's like after 65 times at the same braking point, I sometimes forget which cone I'm supposed to start braking at, and I feel like that might have happened to a few of them. Easy as the recipe to go wide.
Yeah, Veach, we're not talking about that. We talked about the 6-hour race that you and I did, and I said that was the 2 spots as it got dark that I started having the trouble with was the chicane, just finding that proper, not necessarily the braking point, but the proper entry point into the chicane. And then in the Schumacher S also was making sure that you follow the proper path through there, and those were seem like to be pretty difficult because I think you're taking a lot of speed and a lot of trust in your car that you're going to hit those marks. It's not as easy. It's not as easy in the dark as it is during the daytime.
Yeah, you got to hit it just right. Sometimes you got to feather your throttle, depending on how much speed you're carrying and what your angle is. Yeah. My big points were always the Kumho curve, which is right after the Schumacher S, the left-hander at the top of the hill. I would always forget what my braking point was for that, and brake one cone too late. And yeah, you remember that? See, it was pretty consistent. It was. Luckily, there's a bunch of runoff there that's paved, so it never resulted in any major issues. My other trouble spot is turn 7, the Ford curve, downhill right-hander. Right after the RTL, that one I always carried too much speed into it, and then just found myself washing up.
I had a theory about the RTL curve, Colin.
Okay.
My theory was it means right to left.
It's a straight, so I'm having trouble with that. But
no, the RTL curve is the one 2 curves before the run down to the hairpin, right? So the one coming
the way
out
it's labeled on the track
the arena?
I'm looking at, it's on the straight, the RTL part. So I don't know, man. T3, 4, 5.
Yeah. They're all turns. This turn into that turn. Left
We're
turn.
talking
right
about
turn.
the right to left kink there as you're coming off the track. Yeah, okay, that could be it, but I don't know what right to left is in German. Could someone help us with that on the broadcast? I bet they could.
I bet somebody in the YouTube chat can tell us what that means. Either I'm probably wrong, just to be honest about it, and it won't be the first time today. But yeah, if somebody knows what the RTL curve meant, we should do trivia and give away something.
The only problem with that is you're supposed to know what the answer is when you're doing trivia.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about maybe for future broadcasts. We'll, I don't know. We'll come up with something. We may have a little fun. Who knows what we'll do next time? Maybe we'll just let Vitor do the entire race in Portuguese for the next event. So that would be fun, actually. Anyway, so back to the action on the track. It looks like that unless something drastic happens, I think everybody is pretty much settled into where they're going to finish this race. It's still 20 minutes left in the race or so, but the gaps to the closest cars, I think we're still looking at Vincenzo Amico and BC Fulby is 13 seconds, and I think that is the closest gap on the track. So like I said, there's always going to be, I think we talked about it before, there's always been, within the last 2 or 3 hours of these events, there's always been something really strange happen at the very end that causes a shake-up in the points. Or potentially could, but if that happens, of course we'll talk about it. But I think at this point, it's just everybody's trying to finish.
No kidding. So we do have a winner on the chat. We have Julius Braun has come across with the answer. RTL is a German TV channel which Formula One the last 20 years.
Okay, so it's sponsored. That's what we're saying. It's a sponsored corner.
Yeah, sponsored or in honor of, who knows? I don't think Norbert Haug sponsored the Haug book.
No, probably not.
That he bothered paying for that. He's paid for enough other things.
Yeah, I would say you're probably right, but I think RTL being a broadcast company, I don't know, it might have been part of the broadcast deal.
It could be. Who knows?
After us. I mean, well, didn't we talk about that with Barcelona? As every corner's named after us, as sponsored by somebody.
Well, that's right. And you look at the. I mean, I'm looking at an old track map from Wikipedia. That's called turn 11, the Kumho curve, which I got to run that through the translator, and the Beat curve.
Kumho is a tire company.
Yeah, it is, right. That does sound familiar now that you mention
Yep.
it. But now turn 12 is the Warsteiner curve, which is a beer. That I know.
Warsteiner. Yes, I'm
Warsteiner,
familiar
yeah.
with Warsteiner. Yep.
And so, honestly, Hudson Beck's, the little bend, name something else. I feel like you could just pay to get corners named for you. And that's the way tracks need to do it to survive today, let's be honest.
Yeah. Sponsorship is vital to the survival of these circuits like that. I mean, we just saw the shot of the of one of the overpasses, the overhangs, where there's like 17 different sponsor signs up there on it. So so it got its TV time.
Yeah. That's how these things survive.
Yeah, they absolutely. But thank you, Julius Braun. Appreciate the assistance on that.
So it is the left-hander after. Okay, Schumacher has the Kumo.
Yep, Kumo.
Nice. Well, that's been educational. I would say something I do want to mention actually comes to mind here is I don't know how many of our racers today are old enough to remember when cigarettes were the biggest sponsor in racing. That was a long time ago now. I mean, maybe the most famous international example might be the Marlboro team sponsoring Ferrari. I can remember that Marlboro logo on Schumacher's Ferrari. Maybe some of us here are old enough to remember this, but it was a big seismic shift in the way, it basically became illegal to advertise cigarettes in that manner.
Yes, in sporting for sporting events. Yes, I remember that. I mean, it was and for the U.S. people or for the Europeans, the NASCAR series for about 25 years was the Winston Cup, which was named after Winston cigarettes, which was the biggest competitor to Marlboro. So they sponsored the entire series. It seems like my entire youth into my young adulthood, before the U.S. finally banned that also. So here's something that you may not know, since we're talking about Ferrari and we're talking about Marlboro. The Mission Winnow logo on Ferrari is actually an anti-smoking campaign company, and their biggest contributor is charity, and their biggest contributor is R.J. Reynolds, who owns Marlboro.
That's just hard to wrap my head around that. What a effed up world it is when the biggest, like, basically they're looking for a clear conscience in their PR efforts.
Right.
That's all I can say, and it's sort of, to me, like this idea of the carbon footprint and zero carbon footprint. I believe that's a complete marketing creation, and is a complete, sorry to say it, but bullshit argument. I mean, I get it. I get that it's probably nice that they're doing those couple things, but this extended logic that brings you to arrive at this calculation that's somehow legitimate, that you have a zero carbon footprint, I can't believe it.
We're going to plant some trees in the Amazon to offset our carbon emissions for the race.
And then someone else is going to cut them down. I don't know.
Right.
I'm a cynic, granted, but it's at the same time, I'm really easily taken in, but that one I see through. I feel like, even though I'm a cynic, I am, I just believe in the goodness of people, which may be stupid.
Right, and for the folks who are in the team, they'll get this. For the folks who are just kind of watching YouTube, Colin and I are polar opposites when it comes to politics. This is the one thing we agree on.
There's a few, Well, I've seen people more opposite than you than to me, but I agree with you. I mean, we basically have to very much steer clear of that topic.
Yeah, which is fine. I'd rather not talk about politics most of the time.
That's what I'm not here to talk politics. Talking politics in a race team is probably one of the worst things you could do.
Yeah, I completely agree. So anyway, so yeah, very interesting that I think that's the reason that you see Mission Winnow on the car some of the races, but not others, because of the anti-smoking regulations in different areas. Is very much similar to Martini when they sponsored the Williams car. You could run the Martini logo on every track except basically in the southeast. So I'm sorry, the Southwest Asia group. So
interesting.
Bahrain and Dubai just wouldn't allow alcohol sponsorship on the car.
Sure. Well, drinking is such a taboo there. I think the alcohol advertising went before the cigarettes, right? The cigarettes outlasted the alcohol a little bit, but it used to be alcohol and cigarettes almost 100%. I mean,
I think you actually have that back. I think the cigarettes went before the alcohol, because I do remember the Jack Daniels car. I think well after Winston Cup was already a done deal, at least in the U.S.
Could be right. I'm sure you're right. I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah, I'm probably wrong, because I'm very close to the same age as you. So the further those memories get, the hazier they become.
I'm with you there. Let's point out that we now have about 15 minutes left in the race. Lapse time is 11:47, and allowing for the warm-up lap and pacing, I would say we're at about that point. I don't know if we have an actual race clock somewhere. I do have one. It's 11:44:51. We're going to hit 11:45 momentarily.
Cool. 15 minutes left to go. The gaps on the track, we haven't shorted you out of any on-track battles. The closest one currently is the Vincenzo Amico in the 26 car, which is the Ronin car, and 64 with BC Void in the Reaper Racing car. The gap was about 17 seconds. The other one between Bart Decatur of Garage 69 Plus One and the Juncos car, car number 32, is about 16 seconds. So those are the two closest on-track battles. The gap between Porsche Sport, Ryan Parkins, and Mads Jensen and the Team Slow Pace car is about pretty stable at 25 seconds, and has been since Porsche took their final pit stop. So hasn't come down very much at all.
So I have Googled it, and it looks like, actually, and it's a very good point, there's still alcohol sponsorship currently, like Shandong and so forth. Singha beer, I guess Martini in it. This is a 2018 article that I'm reading, but they're talking about the decline of tobacco advertising and how they used to get around that. And Marlboro, was phased out at Ferrari in 2011. Although, because it stayed as a part of the name of the team, Marlboro Ferrari, I guess, for a long time, 5 years after the actual advertising sponsorship.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't it Williams Martini Racing? Seemed like forever.
Sure, forever. Yeah, there was a big period. I think they did come back at one point in the last 10 years for a year or so. I can remember the BAR and British American Tobacco. I think that was it, or Lucky Strike. That was on their car. I do remember.
I remember Lucky Strike. I remember Cool. If we're just going to go by cigarette
Team
brands.
Cool Green, man. Team Cool Green and IndyCar was one of my favorites. Dario Franchitti and Paul Tracy. They were the dudes for a little while. And team players. The Canada team where Jacques Villeneuve made his name, as well as Patrick Carpentier and Greg Moore. Very Canadian team.
I haven't thought about Patrick Carpentier in quite a while. But I do remember him because I just always thought it was funny. It was Ed Carpenter, and Patrick Carpentier. It's like, okay, I mean, there's one letter difference between the names, but anyway. So yeah, it's this I think we're about 11 minutes left in the race. As you can see, we're starting to get loopy. The two guys that had to get up the earliest this morning are still here doing the broadcast. So we did at least manage to get a little bit of break time in between all this. But Colin, as always enjoy broadcasting with you. Like I just, I know you and I both just love racing in general. So anytime we can get in here and talk about racing, even silly things like cigarette sponsorships, I think we'll just we'll enjoy it. So
absolutely. We've got a crash.
Number 13, LMP2.
Yeah, looks like there's an issue. Number 13 is in 4th place at the moment. Pro Sim Racing. I believe we will be going to a replay.
And the replays, yep, just in the it's like the entry to the Mercedes arena. Just loses the rear end.
So just as a spin. I wouldn't call that a crash.
Yep.
So good for them. That probably won't cost them a position. Yeah, it looks like they're at the tail end of the cars within sort of 3 laps of the front. So disaster narrowly averted, as we say.
Yes.
Again, yeah, just 8 minutes to go in the race or so. Actually, coming up on 10 minutes officially in the race clock.
Yep. So our podium positions in the classes: Fuga, obviously, overall leader, MGR Racing Team 2nd, Next Level Racing in 3rd, in the LMP2 category, Leo Racing Team in P1, Venom Works Endurance with the Johnson twins that we learned about today in P2.
Johnson and Johnson.
Johnson and Johnson. And then FFW Kislinko in P3. Looks like they've had a really good race. Battled and stayed up and moved their way up until the in podium positions. In the GTE class, Ronin Simsport in P1. The Next Level Racing 1 car in P2. And Porsche Sport in P3. Porsche Sweep again in the podium positions for the GTE class.
Yep, and the Dallara swept the LMP2s, Charles.
Yeah, every race, I think, right?
Yeah, they're pretty consistent.
They are pretty consistent.
And we have an Audi sweep for the LMP1 class, which is an actual meaningful sweep. It's semi-meaningful anyway.
All right, so Jean-Claude Pellissier, we have an off-track crash. We're going to get it to a replay. As soon as our technical contact brings it up, there we go.
It actually looks like it's Ezekiel Montero of, I'm going to guess, Juncos. You'll see this coming down into T1. A little bit of an off track. If it's going to be one of those clip the runoff, so I'm going to laugh. Not yet.
Yep. You want to select their car and then try the replay again. Not John Claude.
Oh, it wasn't Pellissier. We saw Pellissier already.
Okay. My mistake. Sorry.
That was the one where there was a half spin.
Oh, just off track. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. I'm with you now. It's been a long day.
It has, man. And it's a small text to read.
Yes, it is.
And our technical director has a massive accent, so
yeah, he's a pleb. Anyway, no, he does a great job. Seriously, he does a great job. I'm just giving him a hard time. I can't really say too much about it. He's done a great job. I really enjoyed having him work the cams, so we could just talk about the racing.
Yeah, I think he's going to apply to do just that next time.
Unfortunately, we also need him to drive a race car every now and then. So I know he will be wanting to finish up this race and then go to bed. So he has a league race tomorrow morning or early tomorrow afternoon. So yes, Vitor does also have that same race. I agree with you, but I haven't heard from Vitor in quite a while. It's almost like he's not here. Yeah, he may have. He may have. It's
pretty
late.
Quiet in Portugal right now.
Yes.
So we'll wait to be here from Iberia. Yeah, we're closing down now. About 6 minutes to go, 7 minutes to go. Really just a handful of laps. This is sometimes the hardest part to keep your focus. I think the end is in sight, but you're really just ready to be done. You can't really improve without something else happening. You know, who knows? It's a time where you're just kind of frozen in your zone, just trying to finish.
Yes, I completely agree. Yes, just trying to get those last 3 or 4 laps in the books, and just take what you've got for the race, and then go have a nice rest day tomorrow, and then prep for the next one. I know that's what we'll be doing. I think we'll all be, as just from our team, we'll all be starting to prep for Sebring, which ironically enough is our last race with V.E.C. also. So we drive a 12 and then we call a 24. So that's going to be an interesting on back-to-back weekends.
That's right. Driving a 24 at Sebring normally isn't possible with real race cars because the track's so darn bumpy.
Yes,
I think that it'll be possible in iRacing, and you know, it will be an endurance test to be sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a test of the driver's nerve more than anything else. Just, you know, the I don't know how many laps it's going to be. Probably, I don't know, a 2-minute lap over 24 hours. So
yeah, do the math.
Yeah,
next time. We'll bring that
late.
to you in the pre-race show. The next broadcast.
We're expecting 480 turns through sunset, which doesn't even sound like fun. Or whatever that number ends up being. I'm not going to do the math right now. I just can't.
Well, it looks like our leading car today will be exceeding 450 laps. They're currently working lap 448 with about 5 minutes to go. And I don't know that any other car is going to cross that total. So congrats to them. It's a milestone in a way.
Yeah, they could just park the car at this point, and they're not going to.
I think there's a rule that if you're not running at the finish, you don't get classified. I could be wrong.
That's possible.
I don't know if that would count if you're ahead of all the other cars. It seems a little bit like putting rules before common sense at that point.
Right. Completely agree with that. So we are approaching the last 2 laps of the race, I believe, if my math is correct. It's probably not, but I think that's right. Fuga is making their way out of the arena section.
That's right.
Down to RTL.
Yeah, I think there'll be 3. I think they're going to finish this one more, and then there'll be about 30 seconds left on the race clock.
Okay.
Could be wrong. We'll see.
Yeah, like I said,
they're running about minute 33 a lap. So,
like I said, I told you I was probably wrong, but so anyway, like it's been a really good race. It's been, I think, a very clean race. I think our incident levels have dropped tremendously. We've talked about Fuga with their 1X over 12 hours, still incredible. Porsche Sport with 31. Kislinko with 33 is our highest or our lowest incident count for the LMP2 class. Also, VenomWorks Endurance with 33. So that's just those numbers are mind-boggling. So
it's a tie. We can watch that to see if it changes in the last couple minutes here.
That's right.
Better not do any donuts, guys.
There is points involved in the lowest incident count for each class. So yes, at this point that is a tie, and that see if that changes over the next two plus laps.
2.5 minutes. Yeah, 2 minutes. 2 minutes to go in the race at this time. We see we're following the leader, which we are. See him sweeping down into what looks like the Dunlop curve and up the hill again. It looks like they will finish this lap before we get to before we get to the end of the time. So there will be one more lap after this one. And as that happens, we approach. We'll take a peek at Leo Racing, which is just crossing the line now. I fear they may have 2 more laps to go. We'll see where they are when the other team crosses the line. They're the leader in LMP2 and in LMP1. Ronin Simsport also just crossing the start and finish line now. And Fuga doing the same. So we're gonna stay on board or on focus with Fuga Simsport as they finish the final lap, negotiating traffic all the while. They are putting these cars a lap down, which presumably means that their race will end at the end of this lap as well, putting them another lap down. Want to recognize them for what is really pretty much the largest margin of victory I think that we've seen this season in VEC, an 18-lap margin. I do believe it would have been probably 5 or 6 laps shorter if the other teams didn't all encounter some headwinds along the way, whether it was repairs or penalties. But Fuga with a 1X for the entire race definitely deserves a huge shout out for that achievement.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the issues, even at the very beginning of the race with a couple of the other LMP teams, definitely made a difference in the final results of this race.
And here they come, crossing the line, finishing the 12 hours of Nürburgring. Round 4 of the VEC. Congrats.
Congrats, Fuga.
Congrats
Good
to
job.
Fuga Simsport. Now picking up Leo Racing. They are coming around onto the RTL. Around the RTL. I think this left-hander is the RTL. I'm really not sure. That point remains unclear to me, but I'm a stickler for confirmation and yada yada. Ronin Simsport themselves, just checking where they are on track right now. I believe they may have finished. They look like they're going quite slowly around the arena section.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they've hit the checkered flag.
And they have 384 laps complete. Leo Racing, Marco Morosi at the wheel, heading through the kink down to the Vidal chicane. Can't quit calling it that for the last time. Bravo to them. And really a bravo. Yeah, absolutely. Crossing the line with 409 laps complete. So they broke the 400 lap mark. Well done, guys. Well done.
Nicely done.
And I want to recognize all the competitors today, especially those who finished the race. Hats off to each and every one of you for sticking it out for 12 hours at the classic Nürburgring circuit here. We've had a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say the final results on the incident count. Fuga did have only the one incident. I think there should be an investigation immediately. Porsche Sport with 31 for the GTE field. And they finished, yep, so it's a Porsche sweep in the GT3s, or GTEs, sorry. Yes. And then a tie between Kislinko and Venom Works with 33 in the LMP2 category. They both finished with 33.
Now showing on the screen the official. Normally they'd be saying the unofficial results, always pending the race director's final certification. This is actually the race results. Our apologies. I think we were looking at quali there for a minute. Again, just a huge achievement to all these teams coming in and finishing the race. Our podium, V.E.C Sim Sport, MJR Racing, and Next Level Racing. In the LMP1 class and LMP2, it's Leo Racing, Venomworks Endurance, and FFW Kislenko Racing. In GTE, we have Ronin Sim Sport GTE, Next Level Racing GTE, and Porsche Sport. Congrats to everybody, and again to all the finishers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a fantastic race. So yeah, let's go to, do we want to do an advert right now? Yeah, I think let's see if we can round up. So if there anybody out there, we'll see if we can round up some driver interviews. So Colin, I'm going to step out and see if I can get a hold of a couple of the teams. So I'll be right back.
All right, great. Thank you. Again, want to shout out to our sponsors today. We are so thankful for their participation and their help putting on these events. We have Unified Potential and Swindon Carers Center, both businesses in the UK, I believe, and just great for them to be participating in what I consider a kind of a cutting edge sponsorship opportunity in sim racing and esports.
All right. Hey, definitely. So we have both drivers from V.E.C Sim Sport. So I'm going to bring them in, Patrick Pelchat and Pierre Benoit Lemaire. And then he can tell me how bad I butchered his name. So hang on just a second.
Gentlemen, welcome and congratulations.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was a dominant performance today. You guys had a ton of pace. The other cars behind, they may have run into a few penalties here and there, but overall, I think you still definitely had the field covered, more than covered. And congrats to you on the win.
Yep, thank you. We came into the race with a lot of experience. We like this track. We already knew what we wanted for the car to feel like, so we're right at home.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it showed a little bit.
Yes, for sure. For sure. I want to take a moment to just confirm how to pronounce both of your names, because I want to make sure we're not butchering them on the air.
Oh, you probably are.
Or at least in the future.
So for myself, Pierre Benoit Lemire.
Okay.
You can call me PB. It's fine. It's fine by me. I know I got a long name, so PB is fine.
And for my name, it's Patrick Pelchat. Well,
Pelchat? Okay.
Yeah. Don't even try. It's fine.
No, I love it. I mean, I actually I was a good French speaker in high school and visited France. So I can say it with the right accent if I know how it's kind of said. And I think it is probably 30 years later now for me, trying to remember how to do it all. But I do we want to endeavor to get it right, and we'll use your PB and your Patrick. I called you Pat a few times, Patrick. I have to tell you. So
that's perfect.
Well, I'm just going to tell you, I have enough trouble speaking English, so I'm not even going to try the French pronunciation of those words. But congratulations. So I did this with the team last week, and I forgot to do it with everybody else. But if you would like to say something in your native language, please do so right now.
Well, we've been talking French in our broadcast for the whole race, so we're good with that.
Your supporters have already heard from you, huh?
All right, exactly.
Well, that's great. I mean, it's just it was a long race, 12 hours here, but not completely unmanageable. Any commentary on how the race went for each of you? Can someone comment on the 1X that you got? Maybe what was the big flaw that came out there?
Unfortunately, it was by the end of the race. Little miscommunication on track. We had to take avoidance action and resulted in the 1X. But until then, it was pretty much perfect for us. Like I said, we're at home on this track, so that's a little bit unfortunate. We were looking forward to finish the race with the 0X.
Yeah, a perfect would be just a little too much perfect for me. I don't know.
Right.
I think we're going to add a clause to the rules for the league.
At least 1X to finish a race.
Yeah, that's right. If you get 1X, if you don't get 1X, you're automatically disqualified at the end of the race, no matter how long it is.
Well, that's good to know for the next one.
Yeah, we're just kidding, guys. Well, thanks. Enjoy the virtual champagne. Not much else to say about your huge dominant win here for me.
No, I think we had the pace, as Pierre said a bit earlier. We're it's not our first attempt at like winning this race. We've been doing it like a couple times already, so really felt at home, and the car was like really on rails today.
Yeah, I was hooked up for sure. How was the traffic for you guys overall?
Was decent. Yeah, we managed to cut our way through.
Overall, it was fine. When it came to the night, the dynamic changed a little bit, so we had to be a little bit more careful.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it was really flowy, and we could keep momentum going through traffic, so it was fine for us. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad to hear. We feel it's improved a bit here in the series. Obviously, less cars on the track than there were on race 1 too, so that does help. But overall, I think people have also people who are left know what they're doing a bit better on average.
Yep, definitely. Yep. Kudos to every team for that. Yep.
Well, thanks, guys, and good luck with the championship. One race to go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. All right, we got Marco Merbex and Robin Zipfel from the MJR Racing team.
Okay.
We're going to drag them up.
Well, hello, guys. Welcome to the broadcast. We have the MJR team with us. Tell us how your day was.
Yeah, I guess I start. The qualifying was all right, I guess. Would have liked to get P2, but Tobias was a bit faster for Garage 69, and the Fuga guys, I mean, they're a bit out of reach for us. So the start was good as well. We held P3, and I guess for a long time nothing really happened for us. In the later stages of the race, we took P2, and it was very comfortable until we had some incidents which cost us many laps and many nerves. And from there on, it was more or less a fight against next level. We were a little bit faster, I guess, against them. Garage 69 was on level terms with us, I guess. But they had a bigger incident. And in the end, we secured P2, and I think we're very happy with that.
Well, congratulations. Any sponsors or folks on the team that you want to call out other than the drivers today?
Yeah, our sponsor, MJR.
Great.
We want to shout out to them and thank you for sponsoring us, making us race here today. And I think one wish I have for the last race of the season, I hope we get to see some more cars. So to everybody out there listening to us, hope see you on the Sebring.
That's good. I think we all would like to see more cars. It's one of those decisions that is a little difficult to bring in someone who may have nothing to lose in the championship for a final round. I don't know. We'll be talking about it and exploring options, I think, but it's hard to say what we'll be able to do. But I completely feel your request there and agree. It would be much nicer to have a bigger LMP1 field.
Yeah, we started the season with nearly 60 cars. It was a bit of carnage, but I think in the last two races the track was a little bit empty.
Yeah. It's hard to sort of determine whether it's simply, the persistence falling away, but it's hard it's a big commitment to do 12 and 24-hour races, and these are above and beyond sort of the ones that iRacing has that kind of everybody targets over their year. To that end, we've learned a lot about how to run things over the season, and we appreciate everybody that's still here. That's for sure. We'll try and do what we can to bring bring as many teams back as we can, within reason for the final run.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. Any other comments that you would like to share, or any other questions from my other announcers?
I'm just going to ask the same question I always do: is if you want to say something, if you want to talk in your native language, please do so. I think that's a very cool thing, and it's that we see on some of the formula races, and it's something I'd like to bring in here. So if you'd like to make a statement or talk about a sponsor or anything like that, please do so.
Okay.
Ja, dann würde ich sagen, an alle Deutschen da draußen, die uns zugucken, dann noch Dankeschön, dass ihr eingeschaltet habt. War heute unser Heimrennen. Und ja, ich hoffe, es hat euch Spaß gemacht beim Zuschauen. Und dann würde ich jetzt noch unseren Fahrer, den Tobias, grüßen, der heute mit einer kleinen Verletzung gefahren ist und dann auch noch mitten im Rennen seine Bremse reparieren muss. Also das ist auf jeden Fall schon ein bisschen mehr Strapazen, als man eigentlich braucht. Aber es hat heute trotzdem richtig gut durchgehalten und uns wirklich geholfen für P2.
Ja, Dankeschön.
Okay, guys. Thanks and great. Good luck
Thank
to you in the next round.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and we have Conan Warren, I believe, from Ronin Sim Sport GTE, the winner of the GTE class. So drag him up.
All righty. Hello, welcome to the broadcast, Conan, and congratulations on the win today.
Hello. Thank you.
How did it feel for you guys in the race today overall? How did you think it went?
It's great. I mean, from Gabe's, great qualifying. So just Philip just keeping it in first through the race as well. It's pretty comfortable, pretty nice.
Yeah, it seemed the performance of the team was pretty brilliant, very consistent. Do you know what happened in the after the first stint or the second stint? I can't remember which one it was. It might have been the first. You guys had fallen back a little and had to battle back to the front.
I do not actually. I wasn't here for that part.
Yeah, I thought maybe not. But I was curious about that. But that's fine. Just how much prep did you guys put into the race? Is this a track you already knew quite well, or
I mean, it's a track Gabe and Philip knew well for sure. I know that much. It took me a bit of time to get up to speed, but we spent a decent amount of the last week just practicing, getting the setup right.
Mm-hmm.
Really
right,
getting up to speed.
That's great. Any comments about the traffic and overall kind of was there some hairy moments with the other cars? Did you guys incur any damage at all during the race?
I mean, I didn't when I was in the car, but I think we
Right.
did earlier sometime, like
Yeah.
you say, after the first or second stint. I'm not sure.
Right on.
Traffic felt pretty clean when I was driving, to be honest. Everyone
Right.
being respectful, leaving space was nice.
Good. Glad to hear that. I think we feel overall the series has gotten better in terms of that. There's a couple reasons for it, but yeah, thanks for the comments. You guys plan to race at Sebring?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, good deal.
Yep. 3 in a row, hopefully.
Yeah. Be in a good position for the championship. Any questions from my other broadcasters?
No, I was curious, Conan, how do you pronounce your last name? Because I want to make sure I get it right the next time.
We're all good. It's Wern. Just pretend the A isn't there, pretty much.
I got you, Wern.
Yeah,
Okay, no problem.
Okay. Yeah, great. And how do you how do you pronounce Gabe's name?
Don't ask me. I got no clue.
Okay. I love that answer. That's classic. Okay.
We'll just call him Gabe from now on.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
I'm sure he goes by Gabe for most of us outside of his. Yeah, the folks who know how to pronounce names with that many consonants in them. I don't know how to. But great effort today. I mean, we really noticed the pace. I especially noticed during that sequence of laps where you guys had to pass back through the field. I think it was Philip who was in the car at that time. He was massively patient. Yet while showing clearly he was faster and found his the right opportunity to get through it, and that's what we're seeing more and more in the series is the people showing the patience that you really need to succeed at this kind of racing. I think it's key.
I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, it helps again, Gabriel and Philip, a lot of experience between those two,
Right.
They know when to be aggressive, when to send it, they know when to back off,
All right. Well, congrats to the team and good luck in the next event.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, and last interview we have is Luke Holroyd, the manager from Porsche Sport. So we're going to bring him in now.
Great. Hello, Luke. Congratulations on third place in today's event.
Yeah, thank you guys. Sorry, none of the drivers came in. I think they're all pretty tired. It's a bit
they're all knackered. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Now it looked like a bit of an up and down race for you guys today. How much can you tell us about that from your perspective?
Yeah, I think the last few rounds have been very similar. It seems to be a bit of a recovery drive. There's incidents that happen and penalties and stuff, and we just come back through the field and the guys did really well. I think we qualified P3 and we were up to P2 in the first lap and just battled away. I think Ronin Sim Sports, the GTE team, they've got some serious speed and they've got quite a big roster of drivers, so they're untouchable. We can kind of see that. So it's just getting our pace and going from there. And happy to pick up a P3 after what happened through the race, and also I think we might have come away with the extra 5 points for the least incidents.
That is correct. You did.
Yeah, so I think that's 2 races in a row as well. So great credit to all the guys there.
Yeah, I will say. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Colin.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say. I was talking about during the broadcast that I just bought the RSR a couple of weeks ago, and I've driven it in one race. I did the big French track, which will not be named.
In the context of any endurance race at all? Okay.
Yes, correct. So the car is just remarkably well balanced, and it doesn't feel fast, but it is fast. And I think we've seen that over the course of our 4 races here. Is the Porsches may not have the just outright pace, 1 lap pace, but consistently they're always going to work their way up to the top of the GTE field.
Yeah, I mean, given the name and the brand, we always run Porsches. We don't have much choice. So we
partial.
yeah. So we run them whatever the case, and iRacing do balance of performance, and sometimes I think last year we really struggled. And we were at the back in different series. We just didn't have the pace. This year it seems to have swung in favour of the Porsche a little bit more, but the car's great. It's great on iRacing. It's great in real life, and there's a lot to say about the setup as well. Obviously, we can all bring us on setups to these races. And
absolutely,
Ryan and the guys work really hard on the setup, just to get a really good balance of top speed and handling. And I think that shows around us. The Porsches are really quick. Like I said, running a fast web up there. Junkos seem to be off the pace the last couple of rounds. Don't seem to be sticking with the top guys anymore. But us running team slow pace. I know they're in the Corvette, but they've done brilliant. They seem to just plod away and always be on us bumper, challenging us. So they've done really well as well. So I'm really interested going into the last round. It's going to be it's all to play for, I think.
Yeah, I noticed that during the race that it was you, I think, slow pace, Garage 69 plus one, and Yunkos. You finished 3, 4, 5, and 6 in class, and I think you guys were around each other the majority of the race. Not except during your pit stop times. Obviously, I think that there were some pit cycle differences between some of the cars. I think maybe the Porsches can go a little further on their stints than the Corvettes can.
I think it's the other way around.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, what we saw today, I think the Corvettes were running 35 laps. We were running around 33, I believe. So yeah, it swings and roundabouts with that. We had to take a penalty for an incident, and we just chose to fuel, which I think helped us not have to do the splash and dash at the end, which I think some teams might have had to do. So the Corvettes got that advantage. I think Junkos just didn't have the pace with the Porsche to stay with us on that bit. But yeah, Ronin and Next Level had done fantastic. Next Level have been great. I think they've been a little bit unlucky in some incidents in the last few races, or I think they'd be up there in the championship as well. I haven't seen the standings yet, but yeah, Porsche dominated, which we don't mind, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. It's definitely exciting to see the battles between the two. I loved the battle between the four of you early on in the race. I don't think that was when Junkos was in the front of the train, and I kept saying they're the cork in the bottle, and it did kind of turn out that way. I don't know if you were online during that sequence, but it was amazing to me to watch sort of the quality of the four drivers as well. Everyone pretty much stayed right in line and didn't kind of. You always have somebody who blows something there when you're closely following in a train. There's often someone who just blows it and either takes other people with them or the train just is off.
Yeah. I mean, credit to everyone around us. There's a lot to play for, and I think you've got to go with that idea in your mind that there's 12 hours or these 24-hour races. You're not going to win it on lap one. A lot can happen, and you've just got to trust everyone around you. And I've got to say, like the last few races, the LMPs have been give us a lot more space than I think the opening rounds. I think there was still a few issues that you're always going to get with multi-class racing. Not everyone's always going to be happy, but the LMPs have been a lot better. I was just looking then. I mean, I think Fuga won the race and only had one incident point. That is, if that's true, that's impressive.
Yeah, that's true, and they got it in the last hour.
Wow.
So,
yeah, that's
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we're seeing also as the kind of we're at round 4 now. The amount of commitment required to sustain an effort, a team effort through this many rounds of a sort of an endurance series with 12 and 24-hour races is pretty high, I think. And you see now, obviously the field is reduced. We'd love it to still be huge, but I think at the end of the day, we're not really. It's tough to add people in the format that we've got. So we're still thinking through what we should do and obviously open to suggestions, but don't want to make it unfair for people having a new batch of cars enter with one round to go and not having any stake in the championship, etc. So it's a tough decision there. But we appreciate Poor Sport sticking it out as the rest of the teams.
Yeah, we've. I mean, I don't think the numbers were terrible today. I think it was a good enough balance from what I saw of the broadcast.
Good,
and hopefully the guy, it's easy to say if you're not in a championship battle that you don't turn up for the last round. But I think it might be helped that there's also the iRacing official 12 hours of Sebring. So there's people are going to be practicing.
Right, people are going to know the track at that point.
Yeah. And I guess it's what you do it for. We obviously are competitive and we want to win races, although we haven't won a race yet. But we do it as an enjoyment of a group of people that enjoy racing and iRacing. So it depends what you're in it for, I guess. But we've got a great team. So
we agree, and again, congrats to you guys for battling back to third.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Cheers.
All right, have a great day.
You too.
So I believe we now approach the end of our broadcast for today. Charles, you said a lot of thank yous before, so I won't say them all again. But I'm grateful for the opportunity to broadcast these races with this incredible team of people and run this championship. Again, it's been a blast. We got one round to go. Please join us in about a month's time for the 24 hours of Sebring, which will be an adventure.
Yeah, bring a mouth guard. We don't want your teeth rattling out of your head because it's be prepared for a bumpy ride. How about that? That's a better line.
That's right. I hope some of these guys choose to turn down the force feedback a little bit, at least. Don't want anybody chipping a nail, destroying their finger or thumb. Happens to some people. But I also want to shout out to our head honcho here at VEC, Tom Bindloss, for the effort. He has been the primary motivator and orchestrator of all this glorious racing and fun at the end of the day for all these quality teams. It's something I think to be proud of overall. We're having a great time doing it, and again, one round to go. And thank you to our sponsors, Swindon Carer Center, Unified Potential. You guys have been great. Been with us all season long.
Yeah, I guess I can finish this up for Colin Tabor, for Thomas Cope, for Vitor Bross, Josh Morris, Executive Race Director Tom Bindloss, and myself. I'm Charles Beauchelle. Our time is over, and we thank you for yours, and we'll see you in a month at Sebring.
What if I come home and no one's through my front door? What if I come home and there's a mess everywhere? What if I come home and tears flood the floor?
No one understands the struggle and stress I shoulder. No one understands that I have the trials of someone much older.
No one understands why my homework's late, why my mascara's smudged, or why I'm not perfect.
No one understands why I can't have guests, why I miss school, or why I look like I need a rest.
No one likes the kid who's always behind. Nobody gets the effort needed to keep up. They mock and scorn with ignorance in their minds.
Everyone looks down on me. They think I'm quite odd. But in fairness, me crying is all they see.
But everyone really should look up to me. Having responsibilities bigger than imagined, not knowing my cared one is my priority.
Patience. If you give me the chance to say, patience is all I crave, and you'll come to understand that my pain is every day.
It's not my fault that I am left out of the group and that I always worry. No one knows the struggle and stress that we all carry.
The Swindon Carer Centre, we're here to support young carers to carry the weight of their caring role.
is there for us to speak to. Someone understands what we all go through. To everyone at Swindon Carers, thank you.
Everybody has places to go, but not everyone has a way to get there. What if there were an easy way to get everybody where they need to be? What if there were one resource for all of the transportation needs in our community? What if we could move up to a better way to get people where they need to be? Welcome to a better way of getting around. With Move Up, all of your transportation options are in the palm of your hand with a mobile app that allows you to get where you want to go. Okay, there are lots of options for getting a ride, but this ride service is special because it offers answers to the collective needs of our community. Who needs a ride? Going to the airport or train station? Done. Need a lift to get some groceries, go to the bank or post office? Done. Need non-emergency medical transport to your doctor's appointment? Done. Need a ride for your child? Done. What if you want to take your dog or your bike with you? Done. You get the idea. But how does it work? There are basically 3 types of riders: regular folks with no special needs, children and adults who need assistance, people who need to get somewhere but can't afford transportation. The people with no special needs can use Move Up just like they would a cab or a service like Uber or Lyft. Why choose Move Up? Because participation in the program helps support the overall community by keeping the drivers busy so the network can grow. Children and adults who need assistance can choose among the drivers who have been carefully screened to be able to handle non-emergency medical transport, assist with the elderly and handicapped, and to transport children with their parents' permission. People who need to get somewhere but can't afford transportation can enroll in one of the community programs that will pay for their ride. The driver gets paid just like with any other passenger. We can all move up to the next generation of ride-hailing and transportation if we all get involved. To learn how you can become a part of the solution, join MoveUpLynchburg.org today.
Move Up is a local delivery management app that is completely free for you to use. It lets you choose your drivers, whether your own employees or others in the community. It lets you and your drivers decide on rates that are best for your customers, and those customers don't even have to download the app. Move Up is easy to use. When a customer places their order and requests delivery, you enter the delivery information into your online system, and the system alerts drivers of their delivery order. You can track the complete status at a glance, and so can the customer. Move Up's processing system is designed to protect you from liability and to minimize transaction fees. All of the money stays local. You keep all of the money from your sale, and the driver keeps all of the money from the delivery. It's easy to set up. In fact, you can be delivering the next day. Move Up is the no commission connection to your customers. Find out more on our website.